All right, TDOT is reporting a multi-vehicle accident here on the South Loop downtown. The right two lanes are blocked, so is the exit. That's 40 eastbound at 4th Avenue. Then 40 westbound, Fessler's Lane and Hermitage Avenue. Right between there, looks like a crash is off on the shoulder. Then we're still dealing with that overturned vehicle north of downtown. It has the exit ramp blocked from Briley Parkway eastbound to go northbound on 65. And already you got the brake tapping eastbound 24 to go south out of downtown all the way to Briley Parkway, starting to extend from there. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's 8 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair all the way till 7 o'clock with another exciting edition of The Drive. We got all kinds of stuff going on. The weather's not all that great today. Great weather if you're a duck, but I guess we need the rain, so we'll take it. We'll take it.
Whack.
Whack. That's right. Hold it. Or as we say here. You know, we've got all the great sound effects, right? You're just a button away. It's this good weather for a duck. Let's start off by doing what I call a transition update because, look, the election's over, but that doesn't mean the work is done. The work is still going on, and the work still needs your attention and your support. And so, you know, that's why I think it's probably the most important thing that's going on right now. I mean, it's one thing to win the election outright. It's another thing then to impose your vision on the country as you become the incoming president of the United States. Nothing excites me more than what's happening with Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk and their attempt to sort of rework federal government and cut waste, fraud, and abuse, which I think is, you know, needed. And according to the NBC News, who's of course very worried about all this, Vivek Ramaswamy's jackhammer and chainsaw plan to force federal workers back into the office. I mean, 18 months after the pandemic ended, nearly 2/3 of the country's 2.2 million federal workers are still approved to work from home. That's coming to a close. Of course, you know those people who work from home. What a bunch of slackers they are. Yeah, you got to get those people under control because, you know, they'll just take advantage of you.
Good luck.
Yeah. Well, but I think, you know, here's the thing. You tell everybody you got to come back to the office, and I think a lot of them will say, I'm going to go do something else, which is great. That's one way to downsize the federal government through attrition. But Vivek Ramaswamy says in an interview this last weekend that he thinks that a lot of what needs to be done can be done through executive action.
So first is we want to go right in through executive action to do the failures of the executive branch that need to be addressed. Because the dirty little secret right now, Maria, is the people we elect to run the government, they're not the ones who actually run the government. It's the unelected bureaucrats in the administrative state. That was created through executive action. It's going to be fixed through executive action. Think about the Supreme Court's environment over the last several years. They've held that many of those regulations are unconstitutional at a large scale. Rescind those regulations, pull those regs back, and then that gives us the industrial logic to then downsize the size of that administrative state. And the beauty of all of this is that can be achieved just through executive action without Congress. Score some early wins, and then you look at those bigger portions of the federal budget that need to be addressed one by one. So I think that's one way to think about this is how can the President of the United States, who's been elected with a historic mandate, actually do the thing that the voters have voted for. They haven't voted for incremental change here this time, Maria. We have voted for sweeping change, and the voters actually deserve to get it. And we're focused on how to do that as early and as quickly as possible.
They're going to get after it, and I am thoroughly excited about that. So is Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky.
I feel like I'm at a revival meeting and I can say, amen, Vivek, amen. I'm with you. We've already forwarded them 2,000 pages of waste that could be cut. I'm all in and will do anything I can to help them. I think we've never had a president and a team like Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy that had this degree of momentum, incisiveness, and frankly, energy and drive to do it. That's what it takes. It's a monster. It's a Leviathan. But can you cut? Sure, you can cut. You can cut through attrition. You can cut through letting people go. There are some departments that would be gone and you would not know it. The Department of Education, we've had it for 40 years. The scores of our students are worse. If it was gone tomorrow, it would not affect education, although it might help education because you'd have more local control of your schools. Can they do it all through executive action? Maybe not. But by pointing it out and ridiculing it and then doing what they can through executive action, I think we're going to draw a lot of attention to it, and maybe some of my colleagues will wake up.
Yeah, maybe they'll wake up. President-elect Trump appears, according to FoxNews.com, to be a politician in a hurry when it comes to staffing his upcoming second administration's top jobs. He has announced roughly 20 cabinet members and other top-level positions in the nearly 2 weeks since decisively winning the 2024 presidential election. The former and future president's staffing pace is far ahead of where he was 8 years ago. After his White House victory, his first White House victory. He's also making his picks at a quicker rate than President Biden following the 2020 election and former President Obama some 16 years ago. One reason for the quick pace, unlike 8 years ago when Trump and his top aides were relatively new to the process, this time they're experienced hands, and this time around Trump enjoys a larger national mandate due to his sweeping Electoral College victory and his capturing of the national vote, which he didn't accomplish in his 2016 White House win. He certainly knows the ropes, and I guess in some ways he kind of knows the dopes. He knows who he likes and knows who he doesn't like. He knows what he wants to accomplish, said Matt Mowers, a veteran Republican consultant and 2020 GOP congressional nominee in New Hampshire, who worked on Trump's 2016-2017 transition and served in the first Trump administration. So, yeah, he's moving quick. He's moving quick. Trump nominates former Wisconsin Representative Sean Duffy for Secretary of Transportation, the DOT. He served as a member of the House Financial Services Committee while being a member of Congress before moving over to Fox Business, married to that really nice Rachel Duffy, who does the weekends, used to do the weekends with Pete Hegseth and Will Cain. So he's apparently going to be that person. He is a tremendous and well-liked public servant. Started his career as a district attorney, later elected to the U.S. House of Representatives for Wisconsin's 7th Congressional District. Sean will use his experience and the relationship we built over the years in Congress to maintain and rebuild our nation's infrastructure and fulfill our mission of ushering in the golden age of travel. Trump has picked Howard Lutnick as his Commerce Secretary. Lutnick, the chief executive of the financial services from Cantor Fitzgerald in recent months, has become a close Trump ally and has been a top contender to lead the Treasury Department. That means one of the things that is not mentioned here is that one of the things that we heard is that Senator Bill Hagerty might be looked at as Commerce Secretary. That leaves only the position of Treasury for Hagerty if he's to be considered. I've seen some stories in which his name is not mentioned, so maybe he'll just stay on as a senator, but we'll watch and see. I know he's tight with the Trump team. Trump, with that former president, he's very tight. He spent time as the ambassador to Japan. So we'll see what happens there. But if Hagerty somehow gets a position within the administration, then it sets off a whole round of interesting politics in the state of Tennessee. We'll take that as it comes. Now let's get to the question of Matt Gaetz. This story from CBS News. I got another story from the Wall Street Journal. An unknown and unauthorized third party has gained access to Matt Gaetz's depositions, a source says. An unknown unauthorized party has gained access to 24 depositions of witnesses tied to the various investigations into former Representative Matt Gaetz of Florida. CBS News has learned the leaked material are part of a civil defamation case filed by Chris Dorworth, a lobbyist who is close to Gaetz. These materials include the sworn deposition of the minor with whom Gaetz allegedly had sex. According to a source familiar with the matter in an email viewed by CBS News, the person who gained access went by the name of Alton Beasley. Gaetz has denied any wrongdoing. Now, here is what the Wall Street Journal has to say about this particular story. A witness told the House Ethics Committee she saw Gaetz having sex with a 17-year-old girl at a party in 2017 when he was serving in Congress, a lawyer for the woman said Monday. The client, who hasn't come forward publicly, received payments via Venmo and PayPal. Gaetz has long denied ever having sex with a minor as an adult or paying for sex. On Monday, Trump's transition spokesman Alan Pfeiffer said Gaetz is the right man for the job and will end the weaponization of our justice system. Pfeiffer added that the allegations were baseless and intended to derail the second Trump administration. So I don't know what's going to happen there. Of all of the nominees, he's the one that I think probably has more trouble. Think about it. You got Murkowski, you got Collins, and then you got, remember, this is sort of a new figure to be in the anti-Trump column. Not really, perhaps, but he's now not in the leadership. And that's Mitch McConnell. So if Mitch McConnell doesn't, so there's 1, 2, 3, and then there's the guy who replaced Romney in Utah. Is said to be probably, not real thrilled about this nomination. So we'll see what happens with Gaetz. Here is another story from the Wall Street Journal. Senators want details on sexual misconduct allegations. Gaetz wants a fair shake. Well, he should have a fair shake. He should have the chance to explain himself. And you know what? I'm not drawing any conclusions about this whole thing. I'm just reporting what's out there. Don't be mad at me because I'm bringing you news that you may not like. One of the things I'm telling you is that's out there, and it's going to be an issue, and they're going to be looking at it. But look, how many times? I mean, this is where I'm at these days. How many times have we heard these horrible allegations against Donald Trump and others? And it turns out that at the end of the day, there's not much there. So, I would love to see him explain that, and I'm sure he'll get the opportunity. But of any of the nominees, that's the one that is, I think, perhaps most in trouble. Now, Rubio, Secretary of State, that means there's an opening for senator in the state of Florida. Florida Republican Governor Ron DeSantis said on Monday that the vetting is underway to find a replacement for Senator Marco Rubio. And we have already received strong interest, says DeSantis, from several possible candidates, and we continue to gather names of additional candidates and conduct primary vetting. More extensive vetting and candidate interviews will be conducted over the next few weeks, with a selection likely being made by the beginning of January. Florida deserves a senator who will help Trump deliver on his election mandates, be strong on immigration and border security, take on the entrenched bureaucracy and the administrative state, reverse the nation's fiscal decline, be animated by conservative principles, and has a proven record of results. There are plenty of good people in the state who could fill that role. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. Now, there is some talk about doing away with FBI background checks. After all, I mean, do you trust the FBI anymore? I don't have a lot of trust in anything that comes out of Washington. I have a lot of trust in the frontline people who are going out there in communities all over our country and looking for bad guys. I like those guys, but I don't trust the snake pit that is the FBI headquarters, and that's where these background checks would emanate from. So the other alternative idea is to give it to private investigators. Not sure that the Senate is going to go along with that. But Senator Susan Collins, for example, says, well, we want the FBI to do the background checks. And is there any way that would be stopped from happening? It would have to take a proactive action of the new Senate. But as it stands right now, I assume that the FBI is going through that process. I do not trust FBI headquarters. I trust the frontline men and women, but I don't trust headquarters at all, and with good reason. We've all seen some of the stuff that's come out of that mess. 21 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock. Boy, don't you wish it were true that if you have back pain, you could just take a pill or get some spinal creams and rub it on your back and then you would feel better? Well, that's not the way it works. If you have back pain, it's very likely pressure on your nerves. And to solve that problem, you really have, in most cases, just two possible outcomes. One is surgery. The other is to investigate non-invasive spinal decompression. Now, I chose non-surgical spinal decompression at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Their state-of-the-art facilities have the latest high-tech equipment, and they offer the latest non-surgical procedures. Getting better is important to Dr. Kevin Mitchell and Dr. Ashley, so they're offering half-off spinal decompression treatments and half off the KT knee machine, which is sort of like spinal decompression, but it's really aimed at knee pain. Now, if you're a new patient, you get an exam, a consultation. They will give you an outline of the patient of treatments that they can give you, and then you will get your first treatment, and all of that is only $23. I'm Brian Wilson, and I put my stamp of approval on the Wellness Institute of Nashville, so call them today at 615-246-5009. Learn more at paintisbad.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Murfreesboro police say they need your help to to locate a missing woman who they say is in an unsafe situation, possibly with her ex-boyfriend. We've got all that and more coming up at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Ken Weaver in the newsroom. He's doing all that newsy stuff. And then we have Chris Webber in the control room doing all the blinky button stuff. And I'm Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy, and you're listening to The Drive at 26 minutes past the hour on a rainy Tuesday. It's just, blech.
Yeah, it's very gloomy out.
Yeah, but that's okay. I mean, really, we haven't had a lot of rain.
That's
in
true.
a while. So
That's
I mean, you know, and I'm not, you know, I come from West Texas. We never curse the rain because you never know when the next rainstorm's going to come. So
Yeah.
you know,
At least it's a pleasant rain as rain goes.
yeah, it's a slow, steady rain, which is that's what you want. That's
It's a
what you
sleeping rain.
Ooh, yes,
you
it
like
is.
it's good sleeping weather.
Yeah.
And in fact, don't tell Cabana wife. I had a hard time getting up this morning because it was hearing the rain fall.
Oh yeah.
It's
hard to beat.
It's Mother
hard to
Nature's fault.
Yeah, it is. Kirsten Sinema, she's an interesting person, and she's on her way out of the Senate from the state of Arizona. If you want to have be grateful to a couple of Democrats, although I think she changed and she became an independent who caucused with Democrats, then you have to look at Kirsten Sinema and Joe Manchin, because they are the ones who kept Chuck Schumer from going in and changing Senate rules to do away with the filibuster. They stood in the way. They threw their bodies in the way of that, and they caught a lot of flack for it. Well, now Kirsten Sinema, she's a lame duck. She's on her way out. She's been replaced by, it looks like, Ruben Gallego. Carrie Lake did not win in that particular race. But she is not at all happy with Chuck Schumer, because Chuck Schumer the other day put out a tweet that said something along the lines like, hey, listen, the Republicans need to remember bipartisanship. And you know what? The thing that protects bipartisanship and promotes it is the filibuster. Now, you may not like the filibuster. I believe in the filibuster. I believe in protecting the rights of the minority in the United States Senate. I think the filibuster was looked at as something, by founding fathers. They said, look, this is a way to make sure that the party in majority doesn't run roughshod over the party in minority. The Democrats, they wanted to do away with it because they wanted to run roughshod over Republicans when they were in the minority. And now, once again, it looks like the filibuster is protected. But Kirsten Sinema is not at all happy about, Chuck Schumer now saying, so now you want bipartisanship. Oh, so now you want, you didn't want that before, but now you do. Sure, when you're in the minority, that's what you want. But boy, when you were in the majority, you sure didn't have any talk about being you just wanted to just ram stuff down people's throats. Kirsten Sinema is right. Again, Chuck Schumer has proven, within a shadow of a doubt, the old saying of my friend Chris Plant, that Democrats they have the only standards that they have are double standards. That's what I'm trying to say. The only standards that Democrats have are double standards. When we're in power, we want to run right over you. But boy, now that we're in the minority, well, remember, you need to remember bipartisanship, blah, 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 blah. Really, Chuck Schumer, what a piece of work. I like, Sinema. She was a very interesting character. And what I liked about her was she wasn't afraid to stand up for the things that she believed in, even under a tremendous amount of pressure from others on the left to get in line on this, Kirsten. Get in line on this. If it hadn't been for Kirsten Sinema, and if it hadn't been for Joe Manchin of West Virginia, it's very likely that we would have all the crazy stuff that the Democrats wanted to do, like ram through the dissolution of the filibuster and then pack the Supreme Court. All the things that they wanted to do were kept in check by two individuals, Kirsten Sinema and Joe Manchin. Thank you. 30 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now in Middle Tennessee, a missing woman is believed to be in what police say is an unsafe situation. 21-year-old Olivia Calentis reported as missing to Murfreesboro police and is believed to be with her ex-boyfriend. Police, in turn, released a photo of her and her car, and they're asking anyone with information to call. And we have posted all of this and the number to call on our social media if you can help. At the Pentagon today, Deputy Press Secretary Sabrina Singh wouldn't give details on where the U.S. believes Ukraine will use these weapons that the president currently in the White House say can be fired further into Russia, but said that fight has changed for them now that North Korean troops are helping the Russians.
What we are doing is, as we have been from the very beginning, is ensuring that Ukraine has what it needs. So you're going to see us continue to support Ukraine with different presidential drawdown packages that are going to support its short-term and long-term needs.
Well, Russian President Putin is threatening a nuclear response. And in our nation's capital, Speaker Mike Johnson responding to a bill filed by South Carolina Republican U.S. Senator Nancy Mace that would prevent a new member who is trans from using women's bathrooms on Capitol Hill.
The top House Republican summoned the press to clarify an earlier remark he made about Congresswoman-elect Sarah McBride, a transgender woman who he originally said would receive, quote, appropriate accommodation at the Capitol.
Let me be unequivocally clear. A man is a man and a woman is a woman, and a man cannot become a woman.
Johnson wouldn't say whether Mace's bill, which she said targeted McBride, would be considered by the House.
That's Chris Boscia reporting. And from President-elect Trump, he says on Truth Social he is very pleased to nominate Dr. Mehmet Oz to serve as the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services Administrator under his new administration. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, in Madison, we've got a crash blocking the on-ramp to go 65 northbound from eastbound Briley Parkway. That is an overturned vehicle, and it's been there for some time now. We are starting the brake tapping getting out of downtown. Right now, eastbound 24, you're brake tapping all the way down to Briley Parkway. Northbound 65 starting to build there at 440, also at the South Loop downtown. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You know, Restoration Wellness is a leader in advanced therapy treatment for arthrosis and chronic pain in Middle Tennessee. Chronic pain affects about 20% of all adults in the U.S., and it increases with age, affecting nearly 50% of adults over the age of 65. Don't let your chronic pain control your life. Restoration Wellness has the newest technology in joint injections, a minimally invasive treatment to relieve pain without needing surgery. Restoration Wellness joint injection treatment can help relieve anything from shoulder pain, hip pain, knee pain, anything in between. They put together personalized treatment plans specific to your needs with an office consultation. So let the team at Restoration Wellness help you achieve your health goals this year. Call the Restoration Wellness team today at this number. Write it down, 615-470-8124, or visit them at their website, restorationwellnessmedspa.com, to book a consultation today. You're going to meet my friends Carly and Jamie, who will take great care of you like you're just part of the family. So say goodbye to your chronic pain and get a new lease on life. Don't let chronic pain control your life.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Let's head down to the swamp because, you got to watch the swamp really, really closely during a transition because you got a bunch of lame duckers in there. That's right. Those are lame ducks.
Swamp ducks.
That duck just has one leg. Yeah, so anyway, seriously, the lame ducks, you got to watch them. And so that's especially what's going on right now. From Breitbart. Multiple DOJ and FBI officials weigh lawyering up in fear of being criminally investigated. Multiple former and current DOJ and FBI officials are considering hiring lawyers in anticipation of being criminally investigated by the incoming Trump administration. 3 people with knowledge of their deliberations told NBC News. The preemptive initiative underscores a serious belief that President-elect Donald Trump will make good on his promise to purge the federal government of rogue and corrupt actors within the administrative state. Some career Justice Department officials apparently were said to have cried after Trump won the election, according to the report, due to the realization that Trump would likely try to rid the administrative state of a cesspool of corruption. Now, here's how it might happen. Think about this for just a moment. In October of 21, Trump comes into office. He signs executive order to reclassify federal government employees into Schedule F, which would have allowed the president to enhance accountability, including job performance and accountability within the bureaucratic agencies. You have some people that are protected that shouldn't be protected, Trump said in April about Schedule F. Now, President Joe Biden came in and canceled that order in 2021, but with Trump's victory, he could re-implement the executive order and purge the unelected technocrats artificially running the federal government. It would effectively upend the modern civil service, triggering a shockwave across the bureaucracy. How about that? Yeah, I'm all in favor of a little shockwave, a little shock and awe in the swamp. How about this? I've only seen this one place, but I think it's extremely interesting. This came from sarahcarter.com, and it has to do with the investigation into the January 6th pipe bomber. Congressional scrutiny intensified this week after cellular carriers revealed that they possess intact phone usage data from the area where the two pipe bombs were planted on January 6, 2021, directly contradicting FBI testimony that agents couldn't identify a suspect due to corrupted data. So trying to figure out that this pipe bomb thing. Remember on January 6th, a couple of pipe bombs. One was outside the RNC. I think the DNC, where Kamala Harris was holed up during January 6th. Representative Barry Loudermilk, Republican of Georgia, chair of the House Administration Subcommittee on Oversight, shared these revelations with Just the News, raising questions about why the case remains unsolved nearly 4 years later despite significant evidence and resources. In June of 2023, Steve D'Antonio, the former assistant director in charge of the FBI's Washington field office, testified that phone data from the vicinity of the Democrat National Committee and the Republican National Committee headquarters was corrupted, preventing investigators from identifying the suspect who planted the explosive devices hours before the Capitol was breached. See, we know about what time that happened. We have video of the person planting the bombs. So if you get the cell phone data, it's very easy to go back and look at who was in that area with a cell phone at the time that it took place. But the FBI came out and said, well, we asked the cell phone companies for that data, but what we got was corrupted. And now the cell phone companies are saying, no, it's not corrupted. We gave them good information, and we still have it if you want to look at it. Loudermilk Subcommittee reached out to the major cellular carriers to verify the claim. Listen to this, every major cell phone carrier responded and confirmed that they did not provide the FBI corrupted data. Loudermilk said, furthermore, carriers stated that they were never notified that there were any issues with accessing the data. In other words, if the FBI came back and said, we got bad data, they never went back to the phone companies to say, can you help us with this? They said it was not corrupted when it left here, is essentially what they're saying. The pipe bomb investigation has been the source of controversy. While the FBI obtained photographic and video evidence of the suspect, including images of the individual holding what appears to be a cell phone, the Bureau has been unable to identify or locate them. There is a $500,000 reward for information that remains active. But why would the FBI say the data were corrupted when the data were not corrupted? Inquiring minds want to know the answer to that. I think we're going to find a lot of little things like that. You heard it in the news. Ken Weaver was talking about it. The bathroom fight has now reached the House of Representatives. Nancy Mace has filed a bill targeting Representative-elect Sarah McBride, who is set to become the first transgender member of Congress when she is sworn in next year, by prohibiting any transgender females from using female bathrooms. Mace is pushing GOP leadership to include that proposal in the House rules legislation, threatening to bring it to the floor herself if it is not. The bill would apply only to bathrooms and single-sex facilities inside the Capitol and House office buildings, but Mace said she would expand those efforts later on. This is just a start. Now, Mike Johnson, the current speaker, expected to maintain the speakership in the new Congress, was asked about this today. He made a statement, then he came back and clarified the statement, but I'm not sure I now know where this all stands.
For anybody who doesn't know my well-established record on this issue, let me be unequivocally clear. A man is a man, and a woman is a woman, and a man cannot become a woman. That said, I also believe, that's what Scripture teaches, what I just said, but I also believe that we treat everybody with dignity. And so we can do and believe all those things at the same time. And I wanted to make that clear for everybody because there's lots of questions. But that's where I stand. I've stood there my whole life, and those are facts.
Well, they didn't tell us how he's going to handle it. Did you get anything out of that said, this is how we're going to handle it? I don't think so. No, I think he was doing a little tap dance there. I don't know what he's going to do. I think he's holding his options open. Hakeem Jeffries, who became the minority leader essentially in a vote today, had this to say.
The notion that this incoming small House Republican conference majority is beginning to transition to the new Congress by bullying a member of Congress. This is what we're doing. This is the lesson that you've drawn.
How it's going to be resolved, I don't know, but we'll keep an eye on it between now and the time that the new Congress is seated. It will have to come up probably when they approve the rules of the House, which they have to do shortly after forming. FEMA Director Deanne Criswell was on the hot seat today. She vowed to request an inspector general investigation into orders that FEMA employees avoided homes of Trump supporters during relief efforts for Hurricane Milton. Criswell made the comment during her testimony before the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee today. Criswell has insisted that orders to avoid pro-Trump homes originated from a lone employee and were not part of a wider directive. But certainly, there's no doubt that is exactly what happened. That there were people out there who were ordered not to stop at homes that had Trump signs or flags outside their house. The investigation includes those that were deployed in this particular incident, and we've found no evidence that there's anything beyond this one employee's specific direction. Marnie Washington was fired by FEMA, summarily fired, saying that she was the one who was sending out the memos. And she's saying, no, I was only following directions from above me.
Some were registered. Some did receive case inquiries and updates. Yeah. Some of them came outside and said, hi, I appreciate what you're doing. I would like to participate. And then some were very vocal and firm that they didn't want anything to do with FEMA, and they thought that we were crooks.
Meanwhile, House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer revealed Monday that FEMA employees have told him the agency has, quote, a pattern of discriminating against conservatives, contradicting claims from FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell. Comer told Daily Wire editor emeritus Ben Shapiro that he had spoken with FEMA employees who appeared to confirm fired Supervisor Marnie Washington's claim that her instructions for workers in Florida to avoid homes advertising Trump was in accordance with agency policy. The House Oversight Committee launched an investigation into FEMA after whistleblowers told the Daily Wire that at least 20 homes in Lake Placid with Trump signs or flags were skipped during Hurricane Milton's relief operations. We fear this isn't an isolated incident. We believe this is a pattern, Comer said on an interview released on the Ben Shapiro Show Monday. We've spoken with other employees who haven't yet come forward, but have provided some information that this is the way FEMA operates, that they do discriminate against Republicans, against conservatives, against people in more prominent neighborhoods. Not good. Not good. Meanwhile, Biden has asked Congress to approve $100 billion of supplemental disaster relief. The president is seeking funding for a total of 16 agencies, including $40 billion for FEMA. Wow, that's a lot of money. And I think that the Speaker of the House has said, well, they have a lot of money. We gave them a lot of money. Where's the money that we gave you? How's that been used? So we'll see how that all plays out in the next few days. I'm telling you, folks, remember, there is nothing more dangerous than a lame duck administration and a lame duck Congress. And it is very, very important to keep a very sharp eagle eye on what happens in the swamp in the next few days. There will be a lot of attempts to try to undermine Donald Trump before he gets into office. And you've got to keep an eye on the activities in the swamp until Donald Trump can get there and try to drain the swamp once more. 50 minutes now, past the hour.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Concerned that a woman reported missing to Murfreesboro police may be in danger, and it looks like Metro Police and the new Community Review Board may have an agreement. These stories and more at 4 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Let's take a look at the markets. Dow Jones Industrials down 120 points. The S&P is up 23. The NASDAQ up a full percentage point, 195 points in the green. So mixed boards today. What's going on out there? Let's check in with John Maxon over at Beacon Capital Management. Good afternoon, John.
Yeah, good afternoon, Brian. Yep, it's got a day in the market where the S&P and the NASDAQ were up. There was a lot of concern when the day started that the market was going to dip down because of some of the escalation potential in the Ukraine and Russia with the war there. That didn't happen for the most part. We had housing starts that came out today that were a little bit lower than expected. Of course, interest rates are going to play into that and a lot with what's happening with the Fed. Really, the market's going to start turning its attention towards earnings of NVIDIA, which has been a huge part of the run-up of the market. They're going to report tomorrow, so some expectations are higher and some are lower, but it's really going to put the direction of the market probably for the rest of the week, and so that's going to be tomorrow. So a big report to look forward to tomorrow. But today, pretty flat, but more positive than negative.
All right. Thank you very much, John. And to find out what John Maxon and all the good people at Beacon Capital Management can do to help you get ready for your retirement, just go to their website, askbeaconnow.com. 58 minutes past the hour.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Four o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. They're talking about a major cool down on the way. Got it during the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in Middle Tennessee, concerned that a woman reported missing to Murfreesboro police may be in danger. Police say 21-year-old Olivia Calentis could be with her ex-boyfriend in an unsafe situation. They've posted images of her and her car and the number to call if you can help, and we have reposted all of this on our social media. Here in Nashville, it looks like Metro Police and the new Community Review Board that people issue complaints about police to are close to an agreement. News 2 says a new memorandum of understanding on what the CRB can do with complaints was signed by the CRB executive director last night. Jill Fitchard, quoted as saying negotiations were lengthy but productive. Once all parties sign it, the details will be released to the public. President-elect Trump with a few more transition announcements today. He wants Dr. Mehmet Oz to head up the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services to be a leader in incentivizing disease prevention and cutting waste. He also is tapping billionaire Cantor Fitzgerald Investment Bank CEO Howard Lutnick to Secretary of Commerce to lead his tariff and trade agenda. The Pentagon spokesperson responding today to Russian President Vladimir Putin changing his nuclear weapons policy after President Biden gave Ukraine permission to fire U.S.-supplied long-range missiles into Russia for the first time since Russia's invasion of the country.
We aren't surprised by Russia's update to its nuclear doctrine. It's something that they've been signaling that they intend to update over the last several weeks. It's the same irresponsible rhetoric that we've seen before and that we've seen, frankly, for the past 2 years. Biden's permission prompted Russia to change its nuclear doctrine, suggesting that Western missiles could prompt Russia to use nuclear weapons in response. FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell getting drilled on Capitol Hill today about an incident involving a field worker in Florida who told her staff not to go to houses with Trump campaign signs.
I do not believe that this employee's actions are indicative of any widespread cultural problems at FEMA. FEMA, however, has taken appropriate action to ensure this matter is fully investigated, and I am committed to ensuring that nothing like this ever happens again.
Criswell telling the House Oversight Committee panel that the employee was fired as soon as she found out, but Republicans say it's an example of how government agencies have been politicized in recent years. And President-elect Trump is in Texas to watch the SpaceX Starship launch with Elon Musk this afternoon. This will be Starship's 6th test flight to space. Musk eventually intends to use the rocket system to send people and cargo to Mars. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Well, Madison seems to be the hot spot right now, both 65 northbound and 65 southbound. 65 southbound got a crash blocking the right two lanes there at Briley Parkway, Ellington Parkway. Then the 65 northbound on-ramp from eastbound Briley Parkway is still blocked from a crash earlier today where a vehicle overturned. That was a semi. Looking down here in Rutherford County, we see a crash. 24 eastbound, right after Epps Mill Road in Christiana. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's 7 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy. And right now I'm watching what's happening down at Boca Chica, Texas, where Elon Musk has just launched the 6th test flight of the Starship. What makes this additionally interesting is not only that this is a real test of this particular spacecraft. This is the one where they launch it, and then the base of that big, massive rocket comes back and gets caught within the arms of the tower from which it launched just a few minutes before. And so it's now in free fall, coming back to Boca Chica, Texas. But what makes it more interesting is that Trump is there. And he's sitting. He's watching, waiting for the bottom half of that rocket to return, and see if they can catch it again. And Ted Cruz is with him. But interesting to me, standing in the background, right over the president's left shoulder, is Senator Bill Hagerty of Tennessee. Now, Bill Hagerty has been talked about as somebody who might be a part of the incoming Trump administration in some capacity, and the fact that he is there with Trump in that same orbit is very interesting. Well, what does that mean? Are they having conversations, or is it just that they both got invited down? So that's something interesting to watch. So the real question is, 5 minutes into this flight, it looked like a perfect takeoff, a massive this rocket. Those who are old enough to remember the Saturn V rocket that we launched that took people to the moon, we thought that was a huge rocket. This rocket is much larger than the Saturn V. It is a massive space vehicle.
This is what it sounds like when it took off. Just a massive cloud of smoke and fire from this thing. You're right, it is enormous.
It is so big. And this is what they want to use to go to Mars. And they're getting to the point now when they can land these things and catch the bottom part of the rocket, right there where it took off from. It really makes the turnaround time so much quicker. Now it's coming back in 6 minutes and 20 seconds into the flight. The question is, will it land like the last one did? And everybody, the president is now watching it, and everybody's got their eyes on it as it comes in. It does sort of a free fall, and then it's sort of, the rocket now has fired to decelerate at 6 minutes and 39 minutes into the flight. And just let me hang on, because I just want to see if this thing lands like it's supposed to, because I'm telling you, it is really quite an amazing thing to watch this thing come in the way it's supposed to come in. And it looks like, well, from the angle that I have, they're at sea looking back toward land. And I don't know what happened. But the other part of the rocket will land in the Indian Ocean. I can't tell. I can't tell what happened, but it looks like it did okay.
Yeah, and the feed I'm seeing is still in the air, so I'm not even sure. Yeah. Like it's there's so many different. I guess it's being distributed through so many different channels and stuff that we're all in separate times. It looks
Elon Musk is now talking to the president there as we watch the thing come back. Well, I'm sure if it explodes, we'll know about it pretty soon.
Yeah.
We'll know. So there you have that. That's very interesting. But again, I'm the thing that catches my attention politically is that there is Bill Hagerty, someone who's been talked about as being potentially involved. I mean, there's been this talk about the Secretary of the Treasury. A lot of names have been bandied about. I read a story today that did not include Hagerty, but I know Hagerty and the president are close, as is evidenced by what we're seeing here on the screen. And the question is, if he does get picked, then that will set off a whole bunch of stuff here in the state of Tennessee as to who will the governor appoint to replace him. So we're watching it. One of the things that I've heard is that the governor's primary idea is to take whoever might be interested in his job and give them the Senate job so that it would clear the path more easily for Senator Marsha Blackburn, who apparently would like to be governor, one hears. So that's why all of this is so very interesting, both not only from the space standpoint and all of that, but also from the standpoint of the politics here in the volunteer state of Tennessee. So, by the way, this rocket, well, let me tell you. The evening launch team means to be the first time Starship makes a daylight splashdown. That means the Starship, the top of the rocket, will land. And SpaceX has flown the full Starship rocket system on 5 tests so far at a steadily increasing cadence. Its previous launch last month featured the dramatic catch of the rocket. If you haven't seen that, that's really remarkable. After the successful 5th flight, the Federal Aviation Administration confirmed that SpaceX was authorized to move toward the 6th flight. But the 5th launch was not without incidents, apparently. We were 1 second away from that tipping and telling the rocket to abort and try to crash into the ground next to the tower. Apparently got very, very close. So the question is, did it land properly? And I'm very confused, as you are, Chris, by the feeds that we're seeing out of Boca Chica.
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing a rocket, footage from a rocket. It's still in space, or it's not in space.
That's probably the other part of the rocket that is still in orbit.
Could be.
That's what I'm guessing. I don't know. Again, we'll keep you up to date. But this is 165 feet tall, 6 Raptor engines. 3 for use while in the Earth's atmosphere, 3 for operating in the vacuum of space, powered by liquid oxygen and liquid methane. A full system requires more than 10 million pounds of propellant for launch. It is monstrous. And again, a real testament, I think, to what Elon Musk is trying to accomplish in the space world. A couple of other things going on. As you heard in the news a little while ago, Dr. Oz has been picked to lead the Medicaid and Medicare agency. I guess he becomes the administrator. Yeah, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services administrator, if he's approved. They operates or oversees programs that provide health coverage to about 1 out of every 2 Americans, including Medicare, Medicaid, the Children's Health Insurance Program, and the Obama Marketplace Exchange for Healthcare.gov. Those 4 programs account for $1.6 trillion in spending, are nearly 25% of the entire federal budget. It's not a nothing job. You're talking about overseeing and being responsible for the responsible expenditure of 25% of the federal budget. That's a big old task. Oz was his pick to lead the Division of Health and Human Services at one point. Trump said last week he would nominate Robert Kennedy Jr. to that job. Oz, as you know, previously hosted the Dr. Oz Show. He was a Republican nominee for the U.S. Senate seat from Pennsylvania in 2022, losing to Senator John Fetterman, a Democrat. He is an eminent physician, heart surgeon, inventor, and world-class communicator who has been at the forefront of healthy living for decades. Dr. Oz will work closely with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to take on the illness industrial complex and all of the horrible chronic diseases left in its wake. Our broken healthcare system harms everyday Americans and crushes our country's budget, said President Trump. Dr. Oz will be a leader in incentivizing disease prevention so we get the best results in the world for every dollar we spend on health care in our great country. He will also cut waste and fraud within our country's most expensive government agency, which is, as I told you, about 25% of the national budget. So there you have that. The current administrator of the Medicare, Medicaid complex is Chiquita Brooks LaSure. So Dr. Oz will replace that particular person. So I'm not real clear on anything else that's going on with that rocket. Have you made sense of it yet?
I have not, no. I have not seen any footage of the booster landing, and everything of the camera-wise that's on the rockets I've seen looks like it's in space to me.
In orbit, that would be the top of the rocket.
Yeah. Right.
Which is supposed to go all the way over to the Indian Ocean and land there, as I understand it. We need to talk a little bit about what's going on with Russia, because I'm telling you, it's kind of scary. President Vladimir Putin on Tuesday, that's today, formally lowered the threshold for Russia's use of its nuclear weapons, a move that follows U.S. President Joe Biden's decision to let Ukraine strike targets inside Russian territory with American-supplied longer-range missiles. This has happened. The long-range missiles were used by Ukraine to take out a weapons depot inside Russia, a military target. The new doctrine, however, that has been signed on to by Vladimir Putin allows for a potential nuclear response by Moscow, even to conventional attacks on Russia by any nation that is supported by a nuclear power. Russia's defense minister said Ukraine fired 6 U.S.-made missiles early Tuesday at a military facility in Russia that borders Ukraine, adding that air defenses shot down 5 of them and damaged 1 more. Ukraine's military claimed the strike hit a Russian ammunition depot, while the doctrine envisions a possible nuclear response by Russia to such a conventional strike. It is formulated broadly to avoid firm commitments to use nuclear weapons, leaving Putin's options open. I know that in that part of the world, though, people are very concerned that Putin might use tactical nukes inside Ukraine. You know, look, if you're going to enter a sovereign country, Vladimir, and try to take over a sovereign country and invade it, and then cut a deal with the North Koreans to provide you 100,000 additional troops to fight your war because you're losing and you've lost so many people in this ongoing conflict, then why would it be out of bounds for Ukraine to use long-range missiles provided by the United States to take out military targets inside Russia? You know, good for the goose, good for the gander, it seems to me. The approval of the document demonstrates Putin's readiness to tap his nuclear arsenal, or it could be just a bluff. You never know, but when you're bluffing with nuclear weapons, you know, you gotta look at it closely. Asked Tuesday if a Ukrainian attack with the longer-range U.S. missiles could potentially trigger a nuclear response, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov answered affirmatively, pointing to the doctrine's provisions that holds the door open for it after a conventional strike that raises critical threats for U.S. sovereignty and territorial integrity of Russia and its ally, Belarus. Commenting on whether the updated doctrine was deliberately issued to follow Biden's decision, Peskov said the document was published in a timely manner and Putin instructed the government to update it earlier this year so that it is in line with the current situation. So this is the first announced change to the nuclear doctrine inside Russia since September, and interesting to watch in the next few days to see what's going on. The United States did provide these long-range missiles, and for now, up until recently, Biden had said you can't use them against Russia to go inside Russia, but that apparently now has been changed. President Biden, as the commander-in-chief still until January 20th, has loosened the reins on Ukraine to use these weapons to go into, I guess, military targets inside Russia. It will be interesting to watch that, but definitely an uptick in tensions in that part of the world. 21 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
A shooting call in Bordeaux where they didn't find a victim, but there was plenty of blood. I'll tell you about it at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 25 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk. I figured out what happened with the rocket. So there is apparently a go, no-go point when that rocket is falling back into the atmosphere. And if everything is lining up perfectly, then they try to catch it back at the tower. If some of the parameters are not quite right, then they let it splash down in the ocean. This one went down in the ocean. So now the top of that rocket will go around the world and land in the Indian Ocean and will be recovered there. But still, one of the things you want to know, I mean, catching it would have been perfect, but the real test here was, will the rocket perform in getting its payload into orbit? And apparently it was successful.
It did, yeah.
Yeah, in fact, it looked like a perfect burn. It just, apparently, there's a very narrow window, because the one thing they don't want to do is have that thing come back and blow up their launch pad.
Yeah, that's probably not a good idea.
They don't want that. It's coming a little hot. Oh no! So what they do is if it looks like it's not right on the beam coming in, then they divert it into the ocean, and that's what I saw. The rocket going down into the ocean.
Okay.
So that's what it wasn't from land looking out to sea, or from sea looking into land. It was actually land looking out to sea. It went right into the water. So that's what happened there. Again, I'm very interested to know what Bill Hagerty's doing there beyond just watching an interesting launch. So we'll see how that all goes, and if there's any news to come out of the fact that he is there with the president-elect.
Maybe he's going to be the ambassador to Mars.
Yeah, well, that'd be good. You got to have one, I suppose. So there's that. Now let's talk. I quite frankly, I know this happened, over the weekend, and a lot of people talked about it Monday, but I wasn't working yesterday, and I haven't had my say on it. Joe and Mika going to Mar-a-Lago over the weekend to suck up to President Trump.
In this meeting, President Trump was cheerful. He was upbeat. He seemed interested in finding common ground with Democrats on some of the most divisive issues. And for those asking why we would go speak to the president-elect during such fraught times, especially between us, I guess I would ask back, why wouldn't we? 5 years of political warfare has deeply divided Washington and the country. We have been as clear as we know how in expressing our deep concerns about President Trump's actions and words in the coarsening of public debate. But for nearly 80 million Americans, election denialism, public trials, and January 6th were not as important as the issues that moved them to send Donald Trump back to the White House with their vote. Joe and I realize it's time to do something different. And that starts with not only talking about Donald Trump, but also talking with him.
Got to do something different. Because, our ratings are going to go right in the freaking toilet. We got to save this show and our careers here. So let's go talk to him. See, what they're trying to do is have it both ways. They're trying to say that we're reaching out to Trump so that we're in the Trump orbit, and so that we can have communication to the new administration when they come in. Because otherwise, you get completely frozen out. You're not going to get squat out of this administration. So they went and they had a meeting, and it went. Everybody was kissing and making up, and everybody was nice. Here's what Joe had to say.
As somebody close to Donald Trump told me this past weekend.
You get the impression that, it's like sort of reading a statement when you're like, a hostage. This is so badly written and read.
This is a president who's not seeking re-election. So maybe, just maybe, now could be the time for both parties to get to work. And I know, given the jarring headlines that we read every day, that may seem like a stretch, but think about this. Of the 150 million votes cast, Donald Trump got 50%. Kamala Harris got about 49%. So I don't know. Seems to make sense for leaders of both parties to seek common ground, if it's possible at all. And I will tell you, a lot of Democratic leaders we've talked to this past week, since the election, have told Mika and me it's time for a new approach. And when I say top Democrats, I mean top Democrats. They said, we're open, and this was before we talked to Donald Trump. They said, listen, we're open to working with the incoming president if the incoming president is open to working with us.
Well, we'll see how that works out. Megyn Kelly on her show on the satellite, she had a very succinct reaction to all this.
Go yourselves.
Wow. Wow, Megan, you kiss your mother with that mouth? Holy moly.
Go yourselves. Go yourselves, you dishonest jokes of faux journalists.
Wonder what she really thinks.
Tell me what you really think, Megan. All right. Nikki Haley has this, I think, believe it or not, she got this one exactly right.
Mika Brzezinski and Joe Scarborough tore me up when I said anything about voting for Donald Trump or what I agreed with him on, even though I criticized him when I thought he was wrong, I praised him when I thought he was good. They tore me up, but the truth is, it's not that they suddenly saw the light. It's they saw the ratings.
That's right.
I mean,
there you go. That's exactly what it's all about. 31 minutes now past the hour, time for the news.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. And here in Nashville, Channel 4's Steve Mailing is in Bordeaux, where Metro Police were called today.
This whole situation started out as a shots fired call, according to Metro Police. They tell us that when officers first got here to Snell Boulevard, they were here because a neighbor heard a reported gunshot. But they didn't find a victim when they got here. Instead, they found blood on the front porch of a home.
Yeah, the victim showed up at a local hospital. 2 people are being questioned. Right now in Middle Tennessee, Murfreesboro police asking for your help to find a 21-year-old woman reported missing by a friend. Police are concerned for the safety of 21-year-old Olivia Calentus, who may be with an ex-boyfriend. Her friend who reported her missing says Calentus usually texts every day or every other day. In the past, she's stayed with friends or in her vehicle. She has been entered into NCIC as missing, and we have posted her photo and an image of her car, which police have posted. And, of course, the number to call if you can help. More President-elect Trump transition news. He has selected Dr. Mehmet Oz to serve as administrator of the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. The position, which does require Senate confirmation, falls under the Department of Health and Human Services, which Trump wants Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to run.
This is someone in Mehmet Oz who's been a Trump ally for quite some time. Remember, he ran that unsuccessful bid for a Pennsylvania Senate seat, at which he closely tied himself to Donald Trump in the 2022 midterms. He ended up losing to John Fetterman, but also someone who, as is typical now, as we've seen from some of these Trump cabinet picks, has little to no experience at high echelons of the federal government, but is deeply loyal to Donald Trump.
That's Jay O'Brien reporting. And the latest news, traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Right now in Madison, 65 northbound on-ramp from eastbound Briley Parkway is blocked by an overturned semi. 65 southbound in Madison, right 2 lanes blocked by a crash there at Briley Parkway, Ellington Parkway. And in Rutherford County, we've got a crash 24 eastbound after Epps Mill Road in Christiana. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Let me tell you about my friends over at King & Associates Insurance in Brentwood, who's been in business as an independent agency for more than a quarter century. You know, independent agencies, that's what you want to deal with. Don't deal with a company that can only sell you one product. At King Insurance, you go to them, you tell them what you need. They'll look around and they'll find a bunch of different options for you, and then we'll zero in on the one that is most effective for you. In other words, what you're going to be getting here is not just whatever happens to be the one product they sell, but something that actually meets your need in a better way. That means you're getting more bang for your insurance buck. Isn't that what you want? When you call this number, 615-329-8121, you don't get a call center, you don't get a phone tree, you don't get a recording, that irritating recording that says, hey, your call is important to us. Well, if it was important to you, wouldn't they pick up the phone? Well, they will pick up the phone at King & Associates every single time. Multi-policy discounts, 20, 25, 30, 35% are possible. So get your royal review with King & Associates Insurance. Log on to tkinginsurance.com. King Insurance & Associates, royal treatment and great rates.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair all the way till 7 o'clock, bringing you news and information you can use. I didn't mention, I did finally exchange a text with Pete Hegseth.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because, we were wondering last Wednesday whether he might still show up, because we didn't hear from him saying he wouldn't, and he usually almost always calls. But, he had been nominated to be the Secretary of Defense and all of that. And so we thought, well, will he call or will he not call? Well, he didn't call. But I woke up yesterday morning, and there was a text from Pete Hegseth, who apparently gets up earlier than I do. And he said, hey, listen, I know, you have to understand I can't come on for a while. And I said, well, it's okay. Because, basically in December, I'm done. I told him that I was retiring.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, well, so we exchanged some pleasantries about that. But, when you're in the middle of a confirmation process, one of the first things they do is they assign you a handler. And the first thing the handler tells you is, don't do any interviews.
Yeah.
And so, he's not going to do any interviews. But then that handler then takes you up to Capitol Hill and introduces you around to the senators, and you go through the whole process. Some people have raised some concerns about Pete. I trust that Pete is a good guy based on what I know about him, and we'll see how that all plays out. I'm anxious to see how the Matt Gaetz stuff plays out, because the allegations that are coming out against him are quite more substantial. But again, how many times have we heard, well, this person did that and that person did this and this person, did, and then we find out, well, it's not exactly like that. So I'm withholding all judgment in this matter. I would say that based on my experience of having covered a lot of confirmation battles, I think that the two people who are likely to get the most attention are Matt Gaetz and Tulsi Gabbard. I got sort of a sense that that's where they're going to really buckle down. And look, you've got to get 50 votes, and then the vice president would have to come in and break the tie, and that would be J.D. Vance. So can these confirmation people get 50 votes? Matt Gaetz, my guess is right now, there might not be 50 votes for him, but let's wait and see what his explanation is. All he has said is, all I want is a fair shake to tell my side of the story. And I think he's due that. He's absolutely due that. I'm not a big fan of Matt Gaetz. Anybody who listens to this show knows I didn't like the whole way he put us in a tailspin by, ousting Kevin McCarthy. I just felt like that was unnecessary distraction. And we had a House of Representatives that effectively could not operate for a while, thanks to Matt Gaetz, and I just didn't think that was necessary at all. But one way or the other, I have a little concern about him. But look, if you want somebody who's going to go into the Department of Justice and tear that thing limb from limb and oust all the demons and to do everything you can to try to rebuild that. So that it actually is a Department of Justice for the American people, not a weaponized agency to be used by a president. Then maybe Matt Gaetz is the guy for that. I mean, I love the fact that when you go out and you talk to all of these Democrats, their heads are just exploding. I don't know if I think I got. See if I. There it is. Yeah, their heads are exploding. All over the place. So, we'll watch all that. But again, I did have a nice conversation, at least a brief conversation with Pete Hegseth, and he seems to be doing well and is in a good place. And he really said he wanted to pass on how much he appreciated the opportunity to be on here in Middle Tennessee. He really did appreciate it, and I thought that was very nice of him. The Trump administration is targeting 1.3 million people, will be targeting 1.3 million people who are ignoring deportation orders. This from LifeZet.com. President-elect Donald Trump has confirmed plans to declare a national emergency to launch a mass deportation program aimed at removing illegal immigrants. The announcement made on Truth Social signals a major shift in immigration enforcement in the upcoming administration. As reported by the Washington Examiner, Trump's response came after Tom Fitton, the president of Judicial Watch, posted good news. Reports are the incoming president is prepared to declare a national emergency and will use military assets to reverse Biden's invasion through a mass deportation program. Trump simply replied, true. So that's apparently the way it's going to be. During his campaign, Trump pledged to tackle illegal immigration head on, promising to deport more individuals living here in the U.S. illegally than any previous administration. His firm stance was a cornerstone of his platform and resonated deeply within his voter base. He said he was going to do it. You can't say you're surprised. And by declaring a national emergency, I don't know how they will use the military, maybe to handle people, and get them deported. I don't know how that's all going to take place, but it does mean he has at least that option, and it'll be interesting to see how that goes forward. President Trump has been clear. Public safety threats and national security threats will be the priority because they have to be. They pose the most danger to this country, said Tom Homan, the border czar. He further emphasized prioritizing the deportation of illegal immigrants who have already been ordered to leave by federal judges but have defied those orders. We're going to prioritize those groups, those who already have final orders, those that are in due process at great taxpayer expense, and the federal judge says you must go home, and that they didn't. They became fugitives at that point, and he's right. Tom Homan, man, that guy, I like the cut of his jib. I like what he stands for. He's a no-nonsense guy, wants to get it done. And I'm all in favor of turning that guy loose. As I understand it, as a border czar, he won't have to go through confirmation process. He will be the president's personal envoy and personal expert on cleaning up the border, and will report directly to the president and will not be in charge of any said agency. So that'll be interesting. Representative Mark Green of Tennessee's 7th Congressional District, chairs the House Homeland Security Committee, said that the president of Venezuela, the presence rather of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua in Tennessee is a consequence of the Biden-Harris administration's destructive open border policies. Last week, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation revealed that violent Venezuelan gangs are present in all of the state's major cities. I don't know. That means, I'm looking around. Is there a major city in our? Yeah, well, that would be Nashville. That's right. Tren de Aragua is operating in Nashville. And they are engaged in human trafficking, organized retail theft, and drug trafficking nationwide. The largest criminal organization in Venezuela is the same gang that allegedly took over an apartment complex in Colorado. Green said, quote, "This violent and sadistic gang, Tren de Aragua, or TDA, are now operating in Tennessee and destabilizing our communities. This is the consequence of President Biden, Vice President Harris, and now impeached DHS Secretary Mayorkas' destructive open border policies." Green added that while he commends the TBI for publicly sounding the alarm about the gang's presence in Tennessee, that they shouldn't be forced to live in fear of heinous gangs because of the administration's inability to secure our borders. From day one, the Biden-Harris administration willfully and intentionally threw our borders wide open, gutted interior enforcement, and signaled to the criminal cartels and transnational gangs that they would be able to take advantage of our country with impunity. That according to the Tennessee Star. Trump signals the use of the military. I said that already. This is another story, but from Breitbart, that the military troops will be part of his border security plan and play a role in mass deportation operations. So there you have another story on that. So it sounds like, he's getting very serious about the border. And you know what? Of course, if you've been a regular listener to my program, you know how I felt about the border situation. That you don't really have a country if you don't have borders. The borders need to be secure. You can't just open up the borders and let people through. And we got people who came into this country that went through the process, waved through by the Biden administration. Come on in. America is that way. North. Go that way. You'll find America. And they've just gone into the country and they have just, evaporated into the fabric of America. But then you got this other group of people that I'm really concerned about, the so-called gotaways. You see, the way that the gangs work, the cartels work is the coyotes will bring a group of people over early who want to have contact with the Border Patrol so they can sort of get, a handshake and welcome to America and pointed in the right direction. But then there's a group of people that come in after that while the Border Patrol is over here handling paperwork. Then the second group of not so nice people are sort of secreted into the country. Those are the so-called gotaways, people that came into the country, who have an inclination they came into the country. Maybe you saw them on cameras, maybe you picked them up on sensors, they came through, but you couldn't go get them because you're busy over here handling this first bunch that came in early in the morning. Those people, it could be like 2 million people in this country. We don't know who they are. We don't know where they are. We don't know what they're up to. We really don't. And that is what scares me every day. Are some of these people coming from countries that would wish to do us harm? I think that's an entirely plausible idea. Why are so many Chinese Americans of of military age, men of military age from China coming into the country? Why are so many people coming across the border that want to avoid any contact with law enforcement? That can't be up to any good. So, those are the things I'm very concerned about. How you get at those people that you don't even know who they are is going to be the real challenge for the incoming administration. 50 past the hour. Grace Point Healthcare, affordable, convenient, comprehensive medicine delivered the old-fashioned way. They have these smart care plans. Not a bad deal. $69 a month, and then you get free office visits and free basic labs and diagnostic tests. At Grace Point, you are usually seen the same day or the next day, and there are no long wait times in the waiting room. Grace Point is your primary provider that treats the entire family from newborns to seniors. Feeling run down? Do you have intestinal issues, rashes, hives, sinus problems? You may have a food allergy. Get tested and learn what foods to avoid in your diet. Grace Point is a military veteran-owned practice located in the heart of Franklin. Call this number, 599-6868, to schedule your next medical appointment. Grace Point Healthcare, modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
We are monitoring reports of one person in critical condition after getting shot near a WeGo bus station downtown Nashville. We'll tell you more about it at 5 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, so we are going to be doing a lot of this between now and the inauguration day, January 20th, at the station. We're going to give you a complete rundown on where we are with transition. The transition is what it's all about right now. Do not take your eyes off of what's going on in Washington. It's easy to say, well, we won that election. Now I can go about my life. No, you've got to make sure that everything goes the way it's supposed to go. There's so much to keep an eye on. So coming up in the next hour, we'll get into all of that. Major transition news coming out even this afternoon. So stay with us, everyone. It is 57 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. You know, we got some big news from the folks at DT McCall. If you've been thinking of buying a gun safe, well, listen, just now is the time. Did you know that gun safes are sales tax free? That's right, sales tax free. It's hunting season, so to be sure you're keeping your gun safe when you're not in a tree stand with a Liberty gun safe from DT McCall's. DT McCall's is the largest Liberty safe dealer in Tennessee, and boy, are they nice. Why? Well, it has to do with their free delivery and setup policy. Others charge $500 for delivery and setup of the big models, $300 for the smaller models. DT McCall & Sons delivers every safe free, every time period, never a setup charge. Security is important these days, and remember this, a Liberty gun safe from DT McCall's can be used for valuables, cash, jewelry, important documents, wills, deeds, car titles, whatever you need to keep safe from theft or fire. So save some big bucks now on your Liberty gun safe when you shop at your local DT McCall's. Just go to dtmccalls.com for locations and information.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Five o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and we are monitoring reports of one person getting shot near the WeGo bus station downtown. This person reportedly having critical injuries. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. SpaceX launched another Starship rocket today.
3, 2, 1.
But unlike last month's success, the booster was directed to a splashdown in the Gulf of Mexico rather than being caught in mechanical arms because the flight director said not all of the criteria for a booster catch was met. But the empty spacecraft launched from atop Starship soared across the Gulf of Mexico on a near loop around the world, similar to October's test flight. Skimming space, the shiny retro-looking craft targeted the Indian Ocean for a controlled but destructive end to the hour-long demo. It was the latest test for the world's biggest and most powerful rocket that SpaceX and NASA hope to use to get astronauts back on the moon and eventually Mars. Here in Nashville, a bloody porch is all that police found when they responded to a shots fired call in Bordeaux today. It was on Snell Road, where this neighbor tells Channel 4 that's not normal activity there.
I literally came outside on my first break, and I seen all the police, and I was like, wow. But it's usually more quiet, or it's never something like that is crazy.
Well, a victim showed up at a local hospital with gunshot wounds. 2 people are being questioned. Right now in Middle Tennessee, concern for the safety of a 21-year-old woman whose friend has reported her missing to Murfreesboro police. Police say Olivia Calentis may be with her ex-boyfriend and in an unsafe situation. Police provided a picture of her and her vehicle, which we have reposted to our social media, along with a number to call if you can help. Meanwhile, in Ohio today, no word yet on what caused that deadly home explosion in Tate Township this morning. Bethel Tate fire officials say 2 people inside the home were killed and nearby structures suffered damage. State fire marshals are investigating. President-elect Trump has selected Dr. Mehmet Oz to serve as administrator of the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. The position, which does require Senate confirmation, falls under the Department of Health and Human Services, which Trump wants Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to run. And in our nation's capital, House Speaker Mike Johnson says trans-identifying men will not be allowed to use women's bathrooms on Capitol Hill after South Carolina Congresswoman Nancy Mace filed a bill to keep Sarah McBride, a man who identifies as a woman, will represent Delaware in the House next year.
This is an issue that Congress has never had to address before, and we're going to do that in deliberate fashion with member consensus on it, and we will accommodate the needs of every single person.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Starting over here in the Gulch, we've got an accident blocking the left 2 lanes of 40 westbound right after Demumbrian Street. Then in Madison, 65 northbound on-ramp from eastbound Briley Parkway, Ellington Parkway. The on-ramp partially blocked by an overturned semi. Also in Madison, 65 southbound at Briley Parkway. We've got the right 2 lanes blocked by a crash there. Then near Belmont, 65 southbound at Wedgwood Avenue. Police on the scene of a crash. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I don't know. I always worry. Should I say good afternoon or good evening?
This time, I mean, it is dark.
Yeah, so let's just go ahead and call it good evening.
All right.
You know, we got it's about another month, and then the days start getting longer again.
Yeah, slowly.
Slowly, yeah.
About exactly a month from now, I think it is close. There we go, and that's good. But I mean, this is the time of year where, you know, Cabana wife hates. She's grumpy when she comes home because she doesn't like. I come home and it's dark.
Yeah.
Just go straight to bed.
That doesn't happen because first she has to lay on the couch and watch TV and fall asleep.
Yeah.
You talk about exciting nights here at the Wilson, Manor because by about 9:30 I look over and she's out and the bulldog is out and I'm sitting there just watching TV by myself.
Party animals, you guys are.
Yeah, we live an exciting life. And for this, I needed to retire. No, I didn't need to retire. Here we go. Let's see. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on with regard to the big transition. We got to watch the transition. This is important. There's some battles that are going to be fought. We'll see how they all play out. But, I mean, look, the two things you got to watch after an election, especially when you have a new incoming administration replacing an old one. Number one, you got to watch out for the transition and the battles that go. Those are very, very interesting. And boy, believe me, if I've covered a lot of confirmation battles in my day, you got to watch that process. So that'll be very important. Does the president get the people that he wants to initiate the change that this election represents? And that's a really good question. The second thing you got to watch is you got to watch the other administration, which is now a lame duck. You got a lame duck Congress. You got a lame duck president, and that's a one-legged duck there, which sounds exactly like a two-legged duck.
But a little angrier, though.
Yeah, this is an angry lame duck. Where did that come from? Lame duck. There's an interesting history to it. But I mean, when somebody's outgoing and there's no consequences to what they do, they're considered a lame duck. And you got to watch a lame duck Congress. You got to watch a lame duck president. We got both those things going on. So now is the time not to take your attention away. I know you're excited and, we got through that election. And you say, well, I can sort of check out. Now, don't check out. You've got to stay tuned in because the battles are just only beginning. There's going to be a lot of battles between now and January 20th. So let's go into where we are with regard to the transition process. One thing I love is Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk and this new entity, which won't really be an official governmental entity, but Elon and Vivek will serve as sort of people who will be going through the process of trying to find government efficiency, getting rid of waste, fraud, and abuse. And we got a lot of it. And so he was on Marie Bartiromo's show this weekend, and he said, hey, you know what? A lot of this stuff we don't have to go to Congress for.
So first is we want to go right in through executive action to do the failures of the executive branch that need to be addressed. Because the dirty little secret right now, Maria, is the people we elect to run the government, they're not the ones who actually run the government. It's the unelected bureaucrats in the administrative state. That was created through executive action. It's going to be fixed through executive action. Think about the Supreme Court's environment over the last several years. They've held that many of those regulations are unconstitutional at a large scale. Rescind those regulations, pull those regs back, and then that gives us the industrial logic to then downsize the size of that administrative state. And the beauty of all of this is that can be achieved just through executive action without Congress. Score some early wins, and then you look at those bigger portions of the federal budget that need to be addressed one by one. So I think that's one way to think about this is how can the President of the United States, who's been elected with a historic mandate, actually do the thing that the voters have voted for. They haven't voted for incremental change here this time, Maria. We have voted for sweeping change, and the voters actually deserve to get it. And we're focused on how to do that as early and as quickly as possible.
Yeah, you get after it. And I'll tell you, you're going to have a friend in Rand Paul, the senator from Kentucky.
I feel like I'm at a revival meeting, and I can say, amen, Vivek, amen. I'm with you. We've already forwarded them 2,000 pages of waste that could be cut. I'm all in and will do anything I can to help them. I think we've never had a president and a team like Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy that had this degree of momentum, incisiveness, and frankly, energy and drive to do it. That's what it takes. It's a monster. It's a Leviathan. But can you cut? Sure, you can cut. You can cut through attrition. You can cut through letting people go. There are some departments that would be gone and you would not know it. The Department of Education, we've had it for 40 years. The scores of our students are worse. If it was gone tomorrow, it would not affect education, although it might help education because you'd have more local control of your schools. Can they do it all through executive action? Maybe not, but by pointing it out and ridiculing it and then doing what they can through executive action, I think we're going to draw a lot of attention to it, and maybe some of my colleagues will wake up.
All right, so there you have that. Now, Vivek Ramaswamy says one of the things he's going to do, and this is a great idea, is there are about 2.2 million federal workers. About 2/3 of that 2.2 million are actually still approved to work from home. So their new effort to increase government efficiency could initially target the nearly 2/3 of federal government workers who are approved to work from home 18 months after the pandemic. Vacant federal office space in downtown Washington is costly to maintain and a deep source of frustration to Mayor Muriel Bowser. She told reporters last week that she had requested a meeting with President-elect Donald Trump and that top on her agenda is pushing federal workers to return to downtown Washington. How can we make sure that federal workers are back to work is one big thing, adding that she wants a partnership with the federal government to bring vibrancy back to our town. Apparently, Washington, what I call the monumental core of Washington. That's everything from the White House, all the way up to Capitol Hill, all the monuments, etc. It's apparently become quite a sleepy place because nobody's coming to work. And so Bowser says, that hurts the economy, and people aren't going to restaurants, people aren't going to bars, people aren't spending money in downtown Washington, so they're really hurting. So she wants them back. According to the Office of Management and Budget, telework-eligible federal workers are in the office 60% of the time, and about 10% of all workers are fully remote. Those slackers. Those people who work from home. I mean, come on.
Don't you just, want to slap those people?
I know.
Lazy.
I mean, the people who work from home, really, honestly, they ought to do something about that. But here's the thing. If he said everybody comes back to work, period, come back to your office downtown, period, no exceptions, he believes that about 25% of the federal workers would quit and go do something else. And you know what? That wouldn't be a horrible thing. He's also talked about he and Elon has talked about this more than he, about doing something where you say, okay, if you're a federal worker, we're going to pay you 2 years of severance. And, you can go out and all we ask is that you go out and do something productive with your life. Because working for the government, quite frankly, is not productive. But I mean, go out there in the real world and try to work in the real world environment. Do something that was productive. For a lot of people that are, within a few years of retirement age, they might just choose to take the 2 years of severance and go. I mean, why not? Go and begin your retirement a little early. So, I mean, those ideas are interesting. And honestly, when you people go with severance and stuff like that, and then other people will decide not to come back, you lose people through attrition. Well, already you're making a big dent in the number of people who work in downtown Washington and work in the federal government. So we'll see what happens there. But I like the idea that they feel like they can do a lot of things through executive order, and that they can do a lot of things, through attrition and this is, just doing the things to make this government more responsible to the people. So let's look at some of the other announcements that have been made. The big announcement this afternoon is Dr. Mehmet Oz is now going to be nominated officially as the administrator of the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. Now, you may say, well, what's that? Well, believe it or not, this television's Dr. Oz would be responsible for overseeing about 25% of the federal budget. A full 25% of the budget goes for Medicare and Medicaid services. So making the healthcare system more responsive to retirees and people who are on Medicaid, and the Children's Health Insurance Program, and he oversees the marketplace exchange healthcare.gov if confirmed. But Mehmet Oz, Dr. Oz from TV, he's got a lot of experience in the health field. And let me just go through a couple of things here. I never watched Dr. Oz. It wasn't my kind of thing, but he's an eminent physician, heart surgeon, inventor, and world-class communicator. He's been in front of the forefront of healthy living for decades. Dr. Oz, according to the president-elect, will closely work with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to take on the illness industrial complex and all the horrible chronic diseases left in its wake. Our healthcare system is broken. Everyday Americans are crushed, and it crushes our budgets. I'm sorry, let me do that again. Our broken healthcare system harms everyday Americans and crushes our country's budget. Dr. Oz will be a leader in incentivizing disease prevention so we get the best results in the world for every dollar we spend on healthcare in our great country. If you're going to spend it, make sure you spend it wisely. Make sure we're not wasting things. And, you know, anybody who's in the medical field can tell you that quite frankly, there's a lot of waste and abuse that goes in what's happening in modern medicine today. As somebody who's been going to a lot of doctor appointments, I can tell you right now, we cut out about 50% of them. You know, what's this thing where, okay, you got a doctor's appointment, but before you come in and have the doctor's appointment, you got to have a consultation. And then, so, you know, that's just jacking people around. Do the consultation and then get on with it. Why does it have to be 2 appointments? I don't understand this. And when I ask this question, people, well, that's just the way it's done. Well, it doesn't make any sense. Go down, have a consultation, and we'll tell you what we're going to do. Well, why don't you just come in to the office, tell me what you're going to do, and then do it?
Because then we wouldn't be able to charge you twice, Brian.
Exactly. let me hit. Well, I'm blocked here because you are absolutely correct, Chris Webber.
Yeah, how else are they going to get $500 for 2 visits?
I know. And so it really irritates me. And, you know, Cabana wife is, man, she's been getting me to go all these doctor's appointments. Okay, I mean, here's an example. I got to go for, not to get too personal, I got to go in for a colonoscopy. I'm a little overdue on a colonoscopy.
That is not
We all know, if you've been through the colonoscopy thing, you know what it is.
Yeah.
They give you a list of things, and you go and you drink the stuff before you show up, and it cleans you out, and then you go in for the colonoscopy. It ain't brain surgery. You can put it on a piece of paper.
Well, some people, it's brain surgery, but that's a whole nother thing.
They give you a piece of paper. They tell you the stuff that you got to drink. You go get the stuff and you drink it. And then, why do I need to come in for a consultation before I go in for the colonoscopy? Just send me the paperwork. Let me drink the stuff. I'll show up on the day. We do this bad boy. I don't understand that. That drives me crazy.
The one time they wouldn't do it though. Someone would show up completely unprepared for the colonoscopy.
Yeah.
I didn't know I was supposed to drink that.
No. Well,
I thought I was supposed to inject it.
No. So that's when you just say, go back home. We'll try again later. But come on. Like, I mean, really, there's not too much to this process. Any person with a working brain cell could figure it out. I got other stuff to talk about with regard to the transition, but it's 20 minutes now past the hour. Oh, buddy, listen to this. Genesis Diamond's biggest and last sale of the year is here this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You've been hearing about this. It's an extraordinary event with savings up to 35% store-wide. Everything. Rings, earrings, pendants, bands, bracelets. Nothing held back for this once-a-year, 3-day store-wide event. Acclaimed designers will be there with expanded collections and special pricing. It's a massive jewelry trunk show with a lot of new items never seen before. California and New York designers are here showing off the good stuff. Get across-the-board savings from wedding bands to engagement rings to fashion earrings and bracelets. Shop early for Christmas and don't miss these prices. Plus, get 0% interest financing. Yes, luxury pre-owned Rolex is included. Genesis has a fantastic collection of really hard-to-find Rolex watches in pristine condition. Lab-grown diamonds also included. So listen, when Genesis Diamonds has a sale, you know it's the real deal. Extreme values at this once-a-year event. The biggest and last store-wide savings sale of the year. It's this Friday, Saturday, and yes, open Sunday for this incredible event. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills, and Cool Springs.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
It is 24 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. We're talking about some of the transition things that are going on. Here's the big picture. President-elect Trump appears to be way ahead of the curve. He's naming these officials at warp speed. He has announced roughly 20 cabinet and other top-level positions in the nearly 2 weeks since decisively winning the election. The former and future president's staffing pace is far ahead of where he was 8 years ago. He's making picks at a quicker rate than President Biden and even quicker than President Obama some 16 years ago. One reason is, unlike 8 years ago, Trump and his top aides were relatively new to the process then. This time, they're experienced hands and relatively, they know the drill, basically. And this time around, Trump enjoys a larger national mandate. He certainly knows the ropes, and he kind of knows the dopes. He knows who he likes and who he doesn't like. He knows what he wants to accomplish, said Matt Mowers, a veteran Republican consultant and a 2020 GOP congressional nominee in New Hampshire who worked on the Trump 2016-2017 transition and served in the first Trump administration. So, that is true. You know who you like. This time, two things. Personal loyalty. People are going to be loyal to him. People are going to carry out his vision, which he's entitled to. And then the other thing is, I think people who are going to be real agents of change, to upset the apple cart, I think that if there's a mandate from this election, it's people who say government is just not working for us. It's too large. It's too unwieldy. It's not efficient. It's not effective. And it's not meeting my needs. So, you know, that he is going to have, and I will tell you, when you come into office on January 20th, take the oath of office, come in, there'll be a bunch of executive orders, et cetera, and do all that stuff. But you have about 6 months. That is really, that's your window. That's the honeymoon period. You know, will there be a honeymoon period with the guy who's been here before? I don't know, but that's the point. In my experience, when new presidents come in, most of the change that they affect happens in the first 6 months. So can he get in here? Can he effect change? Can he get as much done in the short? It's got to move quick because there's a certain amount of time, your ability to get things get caught up in the morass of government and the morass of the process. But you can get a lot accomplished when you're coming in and you're trying to get things done in a hurry. Trump nominates former Wisconsin Representative Sean Duffy for Secretary of Transportation. Sean is on the Fox Business Channel, I believe. I know he shows up on the Fox News Channel. He's married to that nice Rachel Duffy. I like her. She's fun to watch. She's great. She does the weekends. Used to do the weekends with Pete Hegseth. But Pete Hegseth, of course, now got other things going on. With Will Cain. It'll be interesting to see who they choose to fill Pete's. Not only, you know, it'd be interesting to watch Pete become the Secretary of Defense, but also be interesting to see who Fox chooses for that important role. I've always thought that was a very watchable show. I mean, you got Will Cain, smart guy. Well, you know, best known, I guess he started his career doing sports over at, I think he was over at ESPN, wasn't he? I think so, yeah. And then he moves over to Fox, and he's just sharp as a tack. Then you had Pete, you know, who was really good, very smart, Princeton, Harvard, great brain. And then you had Rachel Duffy, who was just so likable. And it was a great little show, great chemistry. Be interesting to see what happens. But Sean Duffy going back to Washington to be the Secretary of Transportation if Congress confirms him. Howard Lutnick will be your Secretary of Commerce. He's the chief executive of the financial services firm Cantor Fitzgerald, become a close Trump ally, and had even been discussed as somebody who might run the Treasury Department. Now, on that point, let me just say, again, you have, I saw today down in Boca Chica, Texas, where they were watching the launch. You had President Trump standing there. Ted Cruz was right there with him. And then right behind him, standing right behind President Trump, the unmistakable profile of Bill Hagerty, our senator from Tennessee, the junior senator from Tennessee. And one hears that, you know, he would like to have a role in the government of Donald Trump. So that he was in that orbit means maybe he's been on the plane. I sent him a text message. You know, one of the great things about having, you know, this show is that I have all the senators and congressmen pretty much on speed dial. Now, they don't always get back to me. Sometimes they just can't. But I said, hey, happened to see you on TV. Any news to share with me, Senator? So far, no response. But is he having conversations? And will we hear an announcement pretty soon about Hagerty? But one way or the other, he was right there with the president, which means that maybe conversations are being had. We'll see how that all works out. It is now 30 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock. Time for the news on Super Talk.
.5:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now in downtown Nashville, another shooting near the WeGo bus station. This is the Central Station. Reports say one person has been killed. Here's Channel 4's Brandon Tierney on the scene.
We talked with one person out here who said that she saw textbooks and papers thrown in the area where the shooting happened, and she was really concerned that it might possibly be Metro's public school students that come down here to use WeGo buses to get to and from school that might possibly be involved in all of this. There's a large police presence out here, and we are waiting for an update from Metro Police coming up here shortly.
Reports say the suspect is a man who was last seen wearing blue pajama pants with Christmas trees on them. The buses, by the way, are still running. With a VIP audience watching in Brownsville, Texas, SpaceX launched another Starship rocket. President-elect Trump, Elon Musk, and others on hand to witness an empty spacecraft launch on a Starship rocket, but the company aborted a maneuver that would have caught a booster with a giant mechanical arm. The SpaceX commentator announcing the change in plans, saying not all the criteria was met for the catch.
We did not attempt a return to the launch site and catch attempt today when strict criteria were not met, and the Super Heavy booster executed a planned divert to a landing burn and soft splashdown in the Gulf of Mexico.
The goal is for the Starship rocket system to put people on the moon and then Mars. Trump transition news. President-elect Trump selecting Dr. Mehmet Oz to serve as administrator of the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. The position, which does require Senate confirmation, falls under the Department of Health and Human Services, which Trump wants Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to run. Here's Jay O'Brien.
This is a nomination that would impact an agency, again, CMS, the Centers for Medicaid and Medicare Services, that administers health coverage for more than 100 million Americans, because CMS is in charge of Medicare, as we talked about, Medicaid, as is in its title, but also CHIP, this Children Health Insurance Plans.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, looking over here in the Gulch, we still have the right shoulder blocked by a crash 40 westbound right after Demumbrian, near Opryland on Briley Parkway northbound right after McGavick Pike. Police reporting a crash there. And then in Madison, we've got 65 southbound. The right two lanes are blocked at Briley Parkway due to a crash. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Say, have you heard about this item that Costco has that they keep running out of? Gold bars. They just can't keep them in stock. Gold's breathtaking surge this year to repeated record highs hasn't stopped bullion from flying off the shelves. Gold is not only one of the best performing commodities, but it means that it's outperforming other assets like stocks and bonds. The surge has been driven by its appeal as a safe haven asset in times of geopolitical and economic uncertainty. And you know where you can still get gold when Costco doesn't have any? My friends at Nashville Gold and Coin. That's what they do. They sell the same high-quality products as Costco and other national online retailers. They will not overcharge you, and as a bonus, you'll be supporting a locally owned business. Kyle and Hannah are true experts in this field, and you can count on top-of-the-line, personalized customer service. Nashville Gold and Coin is the best place to buy gold in Middle Tennessee. You'll be dealing with experts instead of some random store clerk with zero knowledge about precious metals. Make an appointment today with Nashville Gold and Coin. Go to NashvilleGoldandCoin.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Well, there it is. The Three Amigos music is now playing, and it's time for the Three Amigos to gather. Amigo number one in the newsroom is, you know him, you live and can't live without him, Ken Weaver.
Good darkness, boys.
I know.
Yes.
It's good evening. Good evening. You can't even say good afternoon. And there in the control room, pushing all the blinky buttons, Amigo number two, he's Chris Weber.
Buenos noches.
Buenos noches. And I am Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy, and I am Amigo number three. Together, the Three Amigos. We really are amigos. We really are. We are, one of the things I love is when we all get to chat together, and that's what this is all about. We all start out with some little story, right? And then we, sometimes we get through them, sometimes we get diverted, sometimes you never know what will happen when the Three Amigos get together and start chatting.
Anything could happen.
Anything could happen. So you guys go start first.
All right. Hopefully you guys haven't covered this. I've been gone for a while. But anyway, I got an interesting email about the top dog and cat names of 2024.
All right.
And I'm also learning that number one on both lists seems to be popular among humans, too. But I'll start with dog names, and I'll start at number 10. For the dogs, number 10 is Max. Number 9 is Lola. Number 8 is Rosie. I never thought about naming a dog Rosie.
I don't know.
Anyway, number 7 is Cooper. That's a good one. Number 6, Bailey. Daisy is number 5. Charlie's number 4. I'd call mine Chuck. Little Chucky. And then number 3 is Lucy. Number 2 is Bella. I do have a dog in my neighborhood. She is a pretty Labradoodle, and her name is Bella.
Isn't Bella Italian for pretty?
Yes, it is.
I didn't know for sure, but I thought that was right.
But here is the number one dog name, and this is also the number one cat name.
We need a drum. We need a drum roll for this.
Oh, yeah.
Hang on. We do have.
There it is.
Okay.
According to trusted house sitters, the number one dog name for 2024 in these United States of America is Luna.
Luna.
Yeah. Which
that's ridiculous. I don't know. Who made that up?
I don't know, man. But according to trusted house sitters, Luna is the number one name in the United States for both dogs and cats.
That's interesting because almost the entire rest of that list were kind of semi-normal human names.
Right.
Yeah.
Luna is kind of a strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luna.
Yeah.
So, yeah, apparently...
what kind of loony people name their cat Luna?
Exactly. Somebody now...
Someone's going to be offended out there right now, I bet.
Yeah. Somebody got really creative. At number 15 for cats is Kitty.
Kitty. Well, there you go.
Well, that's what you always end up calling a cat anyway.
Kitty.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't know. Luna's got something to do with the moon, I guess.
I have real strong feelings about how to name a dog. And it has to be something guttural. No, it's like for me. So, when we were choosing the name for Grogu, Grogu sounds nice, but, Grogu. It's just, see, it has to be sharp. It has to be guttural. It has, and it's because it's like a bark.
Yes,
when you want to get that dog's attention,
Yeah.
you want him to, so it sounds sort of like a bark.
Mm-hmm.
So, that of course I didn't follow that with my miniature wiener dog named Pumpkin.
Little Pumpkin.
Pumpkin.
That's a great name for a wiener.
That is a good dog.
Yeah,
A
Pumpkin.
good name,
Because she was the color of a pumpkin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but anyway, no, I mean, I think I'd really, get that dog. It needs to be 2 syllables at most. 1 syllable is better, but it has to have sort of that bark sound so that when you say it urgently, it gets the dog's attention.
Yeah.
I
Cats,
agree.
on the other hand, don't matter what you name them because they don't listen to you anyway.
Yeah, that's right. It doesn't.
But anyway, there you go, fellas. The top name for dogs and cats for 2024 is Luna.
Luna.
All right.
I will definitely never name an animal
I will
that.
No, I'm not going to do that either. Not even if I become a hippie.
Well, I think that's anybody who you'd have to be sort of that vein to call your animal Luna. Oh, Luna.
Look
Luna.
At this, you sweet little Luna.
Yeah, no.
No, doesn't work.
All right, your turn, Chris.
All right, this is kind of an interesting story from Italy. Back in 2019, let's see, it was February, what was the date? February, where did it go? February 6th, 2019. This gentleman named Luciano Diadamo was in a bit of an accident. He was putting out his trash can outside of his place of work, and a driver crashed into him. And it was a pretty serious accident. He was left in a coma for the better part of 5 years. He has just recently regained consciousness.
After 5 years.
From this car accident.
Interesting.
And by the way, it was a hit and run. The driver that hit him has never been found and never been charged with any crime, unfortunately. But the interesting part of the story is he has woken up from the coma, and he thinks that it's 1980 and that he is still 23 years old. He says he did not recognize his wife or his son when they came to visit him after regaining consciousness. He didn't even know that his mother had died, and he asked the doctor to call her when he woke up in the hospital.
Wow.
He says, I found out that my mother died, and I don't even remember when I went to her funeral, he said in a recent interview in Italian
So his
Daily.
memories stop in 1980.
Stopped at 1980. It says he has no recollection of being married, telling his doctor that he had a 19-year-old girlfriend. And when an older woman came in and addressed him, the 68-year-old was left speechless and couldn't believe that she was actually his wife. He also didn't believe that a 30-year-old man could be his son. He says, a guy comes in all agitated and says to me, "Hi, Dad, how are you?" And he said, "This guy's crazy." I thought he must have been 30. How can he be my son since I'm 23?
This is kind of the things you see on medical soap operas and stuff, but you never think it can really happen. But I guess it does.
Well, like a movie plot. Yeah, he says he was shocked when he looked in the mirror and saw that he was no longer 23 years old. He says it's an elderly gentleman, not me. Talking about his reflection, looking back.
How weird
at him.
is that?
Yep. He says that the last 39 years of his life have been erased from his memory.
Where's this at again?
It's in Italy.
Italy.
Yep.
I was getting ready to say, boy, Thanksgiving's going to be interesting at that household. But I don't think they celebrate Thanksgiving in Italy.
And what's interesting about it is that he also has replaced the memory of how he got into the hospital in the first place. He says, "I remember it very well. I had finished my shift at the airport where he worked. He had gone home, and then I had gone out, and a car hit me in Monte Mario. I guess that's where he lived at the time. So he thought that the accident that he was in the hospital for was an accident that happened back when he was 23 years old.
23 years old.
In fact, he was hit by a hit-and-run driver putting a trash bin out.
So, but he was like 60.
He's 68 years old.
So that was -5. They're 63 when he had the accident.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
I wonder what he thinks about cell phones.
Does not remember. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. His wife is trying to, bring memories back slowly, and he says he can vaguely remember some things, but he just really has no memory of the past. He says he's learned that the only memory is life lived. And I guess that's a good point. If you don't remember it, then did it actually
And this
happen?
is kind of sad, too.
It's very sad. Yeah, he said, I've only got a third of my life left.
And he feels like
it was taken from him.
He went from 23 to 68.
Yeah.
Wow, that's weird.
What a strange and sad kind of
His loved
story
ones
there.
wait 5 years for him to wake up, and this is what they get.
They find out, I don't have any memory of you, my wife. Yeah,
Goodness.
That's something else.
Got to be tough.
Well, mine's not near that serious. This comes from a Portuguese from Portugal. A plane was grounded for 4 days when 132 hamsters escaped from boxes in the cargo hold. 100, it's a very specific number, 132.
At least they got them all.
No, maybe they did, maybe they didn't. Seems like an odd number. It's not. It's like you would sell. You think you'd sell hamsters by the dozen. I don't know. The TAP Air Portugal flight from Lisbon to Ponta Delgada Airport featured a full contingent of passengers as well as hamsters, ferrets, and birds en route to a pet store. The flight ended up in Ponta Delgada when 132 hamsters were found to have escaped into the cargo hold. Officials said the plane was kept at the airport for safety reasons as the hamsters could pose a risk to the plane's electrical wires.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Workers spent 4 days scouring the plane for loose rodents, and the Airbus A320 finally returned to Lisbon on Sunday. But they had to account for all 132 hamsters.
What if they tried to store them in a shoebox?
Yeah. That's a story from another time. Yeah, no, I don't know. But I mean, you always worry. They say, well, sometimes you'll have a plane that'll land somewhere and somebody, I saw a mouse. A mouse. You gotta find the mouse, and then you gotta inspect all the wiring before they let it go back in the air. A mouse in your plane could really screw up, it'd take that plane out of commission for, I guess, a couple of weeks.
Yeah, they'll go straight to the wires and start chewing them.
Yeah.
It's interesting how they do that. But
must be something on that plastic coating that attracts them to it, I would think.
Boy, you better make sure you get everything, because what if one was to run up the pilot's leg at 6 miles high? I mean, wow.
Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
But the ferrets were apparently all accounted for and still in their cages.
Those things, that's a good thing. Those things are troublemakers.
Yes, they are.
But, that's interesting to think about. You never know, like if you take a flight somewhere, there's no telling what sort of
in the
critters
cargo
are in the
hold
cargo.
down below.
area.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right.
I never thought about that.
Might be a big boa constrictor named Luna.
Where's Samuel L. Jackson when you need him?
Yeah. Those monkey. What is that? The monkey. I forget the cleaned up version of it. When he's talking about snakes on a plane.
Oh yeah.
What is it? Oh, I'd have to look it up.
Yeah. We should find it.
Sick and tired of these monkey farming snakes or something like that. I don't know.
You better be careful, Brother Chris.
The truth of the matter, when that movie came out, I was sitting in the newsroom at Fox, and apparently one of the promotional things is that you could tell a program, is a special program, somebody's name and their phone number, and then they had a recording of Samuel L. Jackson, who would call you on the phone, and he would address you by name. And he, so I was sitting in my office, and I pick up the phone and said, "Brian, yeah, this is Samuel L. Jackson." And I go, "Well, hello, Samuel L. Jackson. What can I do for you?" And then he goes into this whole thing about snakes on a plane. It completely faked me out. It completely faked me out. And apparently, you could plug in a name and have Samuel L. Jackson. Apparently, he sat around one day and recorded like 100 different names. So if you had a common name, you could then have this recording call you.
That's pretty clever. All right, I got it. I got the clean quote here.
I have had it with these monkey fighting snakes on this Monday to Friday plane.
Monkey fighting snakes on this Monday to Friday plane.
It is 50 minutes past the hour. Listen, let's talk about Beacon Capital Management. The recent presidential election, hey, is it going to affect the way you've made your investments, your money? Is it going to affect your retirement? Got questions? Well, you're not alone. There are steps you can take now to become better positioned regardless of what happens. You deserve the confidence to know that no matter what is going on in the economy, you have a plan that helps you keep your financial goals in line with your life's priorities. If you're in or nearing retirement, Beacon Capital Management has a free retirement-ready toolkit just for you. You'll get a Money Enough for Life book, a retirement planning checklist, and a Maximizing Your Retirement Income white paper. No cost, no obligation, and no pressure. Just call this number, 615-488-9303, to get your free retirement-ready toolkit. The number again, write it down, 615-488-9303.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Stinky, stinky, stinky. Is that what it was like the last time you went to an auto repair shop? There were smelly, greasy old rags lying around, a filthy countertop that you didn't want to touch. Another thing that stinks is the repair shops that keep your car forever. They're not honest, and they don't call you back when they say they're going to. Doesn't that make you mad? Well, if that was your last experience at a vehicle repair shop, why don't you check out the folks at URFIX? They take the stink out of European auto repair. At URFIX, you get a free 15-minute no-wrench inspection with an estimate at every visit, no high-pressure sales tactics. At URFIX, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment and never pay dealer prices. URFIX now in Franklin, 100 Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and Mount Juliet. Call 844-URFIX. That's 844-URFIX, or visit myurfix.com. That's myurfix.com. Tell them your friend and radio buddy Brian Wilson sent you.
Six o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. And right now in Nashville, another shooting. This one near the downtown WeGo bus station, where reports say one person was killed. This is a spokesperson with Metro PD moments ago.
Angles and surveillance video that is available from this downtown area through the buses and the bus station's cameras to figure out as many details as they can about what led up to this incident, as well as the direction of flight for this teenage suspect. At this point, it does appear to be targeted. Again, there was that physical altercation that led to the shooting. And so at this point, our detectives are working very vigilantly to both identify the suspect and locate him at this point.
The victim, believed to be 15 years old, shot at least once. Again, as you heard, police are interviewing multiple witnesses. They're looking at surveillance video to try to identify a suspect and get that person into custody. Right now in Middle Tennessee, concerned that a woman reported missing to Murfreesboro police may be in danger. Police say 21-year-old Olivia Calentis could be with her ex-boyfriend in what they describe as an unsafe situation. They have posted images of her and her car and a number to call if you can help. All of this reposted on our social media. And here in Nashville, it looks like Metro Police and the new Community Review Board that people issue complaints about police to are close to an agreement. News 2 says a new memorandum of understanding on what the Community Review Board can do with complaints was signed by the board's executive director last night. Once all parties sign it, the details will be released to the public. The Review Board Executive Director Jill Fitchard is quoted as saying negotiations were lengthy but productive. The new directives prompted Russia. That's another story. President-elect Trump with a few more transition announcements today. He wants Dr. Mehmet Oz to head up the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, to be a leader, as he says, incentivizing disease prevention and cut waste. Also, billionaire Cantor Fitzgerald Investment Bank CEO Howard Lutnick to Secretary of Commerce to lead his tariff and trade agenda. And the nation's second largest city will officially refuse to work with immigration officials as President-elect Trump gets ready to enter the White House. Alex Stone reports from Los Angeles.
Unanimous vote, the Los Angeles City Council agreeing to make L.A. officially a sanctuary city, prohibiting city departments or employees from helping in any way federal enforcement of immigration laws. Mayor Karen Bass saying,
"We have always embraced immigrants. We will make sure that we do whatever it takes to protect them."
The vote coming ahead of President-elect Donald Trump taking office with his promise to crack down on those who entered the country illegally.
That's Alex Stone reporting, and the latest news, traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Over here on the South Loop downtown, police reporting a crash 40 eastbound right there at the 24 split. And then in Madison, we've still got right 2 lanes blocked. 65 southbound at Briley Parkway, Ellington Parkway. Then 65 northbound, the right shoulder is blocked closer to downtown right before Vietnam Veterans Boulevard. And then in the Two Rivers area, Briley Parkway northbound at Opry Mills, exit 11. Police reporting a crash there. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good evening, everyone. 7 minutes after the hour, 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair all the way till 7 o'clock. This is the fourth and final hour for this Tuesday, November 19th, bringing you news and information you can use around the world, across the nation, up your street, and down your alley. That's what we're doing. So that you arrive home, you'll be able to go in and just wow them with the knowledge that you've picked up by listening to this radio station. And, here's the thing. I don't even care if I get the credit. You just take the credit. People will say, wow, where did you learn that? Well, I know a lot of things, you can just say. I know stuff.
Tell them all about those escaped hamsters.
That's right. Did you hear about the 132? Very specific number.
It is, yeah.
Very weird number.
But apparently that's 11 dozen.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you just do 144 and do an equal 12 dozen?
Maybe they missed a box.
Maybe one box didn't escape.
That's probably what it was. The bottom box probably didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I had no clue.
How do you ship hamsters?
Apparently not the way they did it because they escaped.
They're escape artists. They'll get right out of that shoebox you put them in.
Chew right through it.
Yeah, that's right. Chew right through it. And then somebody will go along and kill it thinking it's a mouse. All right. Let's talk about Matt Gaetz. Look, here's where I am on Matt Gaetz. I'm not a big fan of Matt Gaetz. I really am not. I didn't think that stuff that he put us through by kicking out the speaker and all that mess, I thought that was an unnecessary distraction. And it was a personal thing between Matt Gaetz and Kevin McCarthy. Whether you like Kevin McCarthy or you didn't like Kevin McCarthy, he was the speaker, and it was chaos. Absolute chaos. Makes it look like a bunch of rank amateurs when he stirred up all that hornet's nest. And, I sort of thought, it's not all about you, Matt, is the way I felt about that whole thing. But I will say that, he's been nominated to be the Attorney General. And it's boy, I mean, that is a nomination that is meant to poke the leftist bears out there. It's definitely going to drive them crazy, and maybe that's the whole purpose of it all. I don't know whether he will actually, when it all comes down to it, be the nominee. But I do agree with this one thing that he said. He said, look, there is my side of the story which has not been told, and I want a chance to say my piece about all of the allegations against me. What are the allegations? I'm going to read this one from the Wall Street Journal. Gaetz had sex with a 17-year-old, a witness has testified. A witness told the House Ethics Committee she saw Matt Gaetz having sex with a 17-year-old girl at a party in 2017 while he was serving in Congress, a lawyer for the woman said on Monday. The attorney for this woman said that his clients who haven't come forward publicly received the payments to be quiet via Venmo and PayPal. Gaetz has long denied ever having sex with a minor as an adult or paying for sex. On Monday, Trump transition spokesman Peter Pfeiffer said, Gaetz is the right man for the job and will end the weaponization of our justice system. Pfeiffer added that the allegations were baseless and intended to derail the second Trump administration. Well, you know what? I remember when they made allegations against a Supreme Court justice. And I kept saying, you know what? That was BS. Is it possible this is BS as well? Well, let's give him a chance. So let him come before Congress. Let there be a confirmation hearing. And let the questions be asked, and let's hear what he has to say for himself. He has always said that this is baseless, but, this information, if true, would be something that could derail a nomination. However, the question is it true? Or is it just another one of these things that the left has drummed up, and that when you get the full, complete story, it's not what it seemed? We've seen a lot of that. Remember Russian collusion? Right? Remember the laptop that was Russian disinformation? Yeah, remember that? Turned out not to be. Remember all the things they tried to throw, during the Supreme Court confirmation? Yeah, I remember it. And so you know what? Let's give this guy a chance to tell his side of the story. Here is another story from CBS News that is along the same lines. An unknown and unauthorized third party has gained access to 24 depositions of witnesses tied to various investigations into former Representative Matt Gaetz of Florida. CBS News has learned. The leaked materials are part of a civil defamation case filed by Chris Dorworth, a lobbyist who is close to Gaetz. These materials include sworn depositions of the minor with whom Gaetz allegedly had sex. That's where these stories are coming from. According to a source familiar with the matter and an email viewed by CBS News, the person who gained access went by the name of Alton Beasley. Gaetz was denied any wrongdoing in the New York Times, first reported... Gaetz has denied any wrongdoing. The New York Times first reported the alleged leak. Was it a leak? Or did somebody drop some documents somewhere and call it a leak? Oh, yeah, we were hacked. We wouldn't give this stuff up. We were hacked. Well, okay, one way or the other. Maybe you were hacked because you got the password from somebody. This just sort of sounds a little suspicious. So, again, you know how I feel about Matt Gaetz, but given all the stuff that we've seen before that turned out to be not what we told it was going to be, I withhold my judgment until we hear more, and he does deserve a fair shake. That's all you can say. All right. DeSantis says, Governor DeSantis of Florida says he is vetting the names of people who will replace Marco Rubio, who's been picked to become President-elect Donald Trump's Secretary of State, with a goal to reappoint the replacement by earlier this year. In a post on X, DeSantis says Rubio is expected to resign from the Senate when Trump's second term begins on January 20th, which he noted would create a vacancy 2 months from now. The governor then shared details on what is being done to find Rubio's successor, who would keep the seat until 2026, when a special election would be held for the final 2 years of the senator's term. We have already received strong interest from several possible candidates, and we continue to gather names of additional candidates and conduct preliminary vetting, DeSantis said. More extensive vetting and candidate interviews will be conducted over the next few weeks, with a selection likely made by the beginning of January. Florida deserves a senator who will help President Trump deliver on his election mandate, be strong on immigration and border security, take on the entrenched bureaucracy and administrative state, reverse the nation's fiscal decline, be animated by conservative principles, and has a proven record of results. So I think there's a lot of people in the state of Florida who would be capable of doing that. We'll see what happens. But, again, one of the questions that we have right now is whether or not Hagerty is going to take a position, Senator Bill Hagerty, take a position with the Trump administration. He was seen today in Boca Chica down during the launch of the Starship, which went off mostly as planned. I mean, the spacecraft launched into space perfectly, but they hoped to bring the rocket back to its landing spot, its takeoff spot, grabbed by those two giant arms. That didn't happen. It went down into the ocean. It's not by design. Apparently, there's a go, no-go window, and if they're at that no-go window, it's either go or no-go. If everything isn't lined up perfectly and it's right on the beam, they just dump it in the ocean. They made the decision to dump it in the ocean. But again, the rocket performed brilliantly, getting its payload to orbit, which of course is the most important thing about a rocket. So there's that. But Hagerty was there with Trump, and Hagerty is being talked about as somebody who might be in the administration. I will tell you right now that if Hagerty goes to some position, Secretary of Treasury has not been filled as yet. If somebody goes over to the administration, Hagerty gets a job to do that, then there will be an opening, and then the question is who would fill that opening. And Tennessee politics would get very interesting there for a while. I don't know who might be chosen. I've heard a list of names, including the mayor of Knox County, Glenn Jacobs. I've heard other names like Cameron Sexton, the Speaker of the House, others who apparently have been interested. But Governor Bill Lee would have to make that decision if there is a vacancy. Will there be a vacancy? I don't know. I'll tell you one thing, though. The people who are still in the Congress, in the Senate, need to be in the Senate. They need to be there because you know what Schumer did today and what he did Monday night and will do again tonight? Rammed through a bunch of judicial nominations. Senate Republicans aired frustration Tuesday after Vice President-elect Vance and other party members skipped votes on Monday, greasing the skids for Democrat-backed judicial nominees to be green-lighted as part of a final push to fill the bench with lifetime appointees before President-elect Trump takes office. Republicans on Monday attempted to slow down the effort by Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer to advance more than a dozen judicial nominees when Democrats have prioritized before ceding power to this year's end. However, they were unable to stop them as a handful of their GOP colleagues did not show up to the Capitol for votes, which stretched all the way till midnight. Headlining that group were Vance and Senator Marco Rubio, President-elect Trump choices to leave the State Department, angering GOP members during their weekly Tuesday policy lunch. Said Senator Tom Tillis of North Carolina, I don't care what the reasons were. We have fewer than 15 scheduled legislative days. You have to show up, period, end of story. There's nothing more important. We've got potentially dozens that we could have shoved, we could have shoved down our throats. Except for us being here. He pointed specifically to a Fourth Circuit nominee that could make it through if Republican absentees continue. We've got to talk to these folks like adults and show up. A group of nominees includes Embry Kidd, who was confirmed to serve on the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals with a 49-45 vote, despite Senator Joe Manchin voting against the nomination. If all Republicans had shown up and Senator John Fetterman's absence held, the GOP could have defeated the nominations temporarily. So I don't know if you could have done it long term, but temporarily you could have. I do believe, look, it's all fun and games to get on a plane and go with Donald Trump and hang out and to be considered for different positions within the administration. Today, at Boca Chica, we saw Hagerty, we saw Ted Cruz. There may have been others that I did not recognize, but those two were definitely there. Look, you got to show up for work. You just have to show up for work, says the guy who's off on Mondays and Fridays. just saying. So there's that. And will there be FBI background checks? Well, you know what? That's a fair question. Apparently, the Trump incoming Trump transition team has said maybe we just give it to private investigators. And I don't know that Congress is going to go along with that idea. The FBI has traditionally done the background checks on people, and they're very intense background checks of people who are nominated for positions in government. But do you trust the FBI? I trust the rank and file members of the FBI who are on the front lines. I do not trust anybody who works at the FBI office in Washington. That's a den of vipers as far as I'm concerned, and I don't trust them. So I can understand why they might want to try something different. The question is whether or not Congress would go along with it. 20 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk. All right, a relative's coming to your house for Thanksgiving. Let Busy Bee help ensure your home is in-law and relative ready. Busy Bee has a limited number of Sear 1 1/2 to 3 ton split heat pumps for residential unit replacements only, about $6,995. Includes labor, equipment, materials, and warranty. This system offers a great balance of energy efficiency, performance, and year-round comfort for residential unit replacements. How about $750 off upright tanked water heaters with circulation kit, or a free package upgrade for air duct cleaning? Buy a basic air duct cleaning kit, and they'll upgrade to the next level for absolutely free. And lastly, give a free Beehive member to the in-laws. You must currently have a Beehive membership to qualify to give the additional free Beehive membership to your in-laws. Other restrictions may apply. Busy Bee is bringing families together for satisfaction guaranteed. Call Busy Bee HVAC, your Rude Pro partner, 775-7833, or go learn more at busybeehvac.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
One killed at the downtown bus station, and a suspect is on the run. We've got that story in the day's closing money news coming up at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7. I like the way he says that. Super Talk
I like the way that fella talks.
That fella, he talks just like I do. No, I like your enthusiasm, but I just say sort of, it's like, that's sort of your, what is it? That's sort of like your trademark. Super talk.
Super talk.
And in football.
Football. Football.
And that and a W.C. Fields impression. There you go.
Oh, yes, boys. Good afternoon.
Yeah, that's right. W.C. Fields. When did W.C. Fields die? Like back in the 1930s or something?
It's been a long time.
I think it might have been in the 40s.
You think?
40s or 50s.
Anyway, we need to update our impressions.
1946. He's been dead a while.
Well, pretty soon I'll have more time to join you boys.
That's right. Well, there you go. Here's a story, economic news. I'll do this one first. Walmart earnings. Holiday shopping is off to a strong start. Retailers say its sales rose in the latest quarter, helped by demands for toys and other goods. Well, this is a good sign, right? The results were better than analysts expected, and Walmart shares rose about 4% in pre-market trading today. Walmart executives said they are watching potential policy moves by the incoming Trump administration, particularly on import taxes. The retailer says it is importing some products early in case new tariffs or potential port strikes happen in January. That's pretty good news, though, that they're selling stuff. Because, remember, Walmart is sort of one of those bellwether companies you watch. If people are spending money at Walmart's because they're feeling better about the economy, and I can understand how, especially if it's happening, if it continues into the fourth quarter, now that we have, are people feeling better, more positive, willing to let go of money? I don't know. You look at your other places like Home Depot or your Lowe's and find out how they're doing. That'll be interesting to see. If they're doing well and Walmart's doing well, then that's a real good sign that the economy is coming back. But they do make an important point here, and this is something we need to start to think about a little bit, okay? Donald Trump's going to come back here, and he's going to become president, and he's going to say, okay, tariffs. Tariffs, if you make a product, we're going to charge you a big tariff, which means that the prices on those goods that have to be imported that have a tariff on them will go up. But the ultimate idea of a tariff is, you force the company to come to this country to build that product. And so what does that do? That brings jobs. That brings a stronger economy. It makes us less reliant on foreign imports, which I think is a good thing, and it's good for America. So, but in the short term, it takes, maybe the negotiations go like this. Hey, listen, company, you import this product from China. We're going to, in 2 years, or maybe we're going to start giving you a tariff now. You're going to have to pay more to have that imported, right? But if you make plans to come to America and build a factory and make your product here, then we'll give you that tariff money back. Something like that. But what I guess I'm really getting at is there may be a time where certain things are more expensive while those negotiations are ongoing. Are you ready to pay a little more for the long-term benefit of having the economy be stronger and have those products eventually made in America? That's going to be an interesting question and something to watch. And that's what Walmart is looking at. I mean, their stuff comes from China. I'll never forget being in Beijing and needing to go buy some gifts to bring back home, right? And I went down to the hotel lobby and I was friends with the guy who was the concierge there, and he spoke real good English. So I said to him, I need to go get some gifts. Where do you recommend that I go? And he said, we got this amazing place. Oh, Mr. Bryan, you're going to love this place. When you go there, they got everything you can possibly imagine. I said, well, what is the name of this wondrous store? And they said, Walmart. And I said, as I go, well, no, I don't need a Walmart. I need to go get, like silk scarves or things like that. Well, then I went to the Pearl Market there in town. But one way or the other, it was very interesting that, in China, they consider Walmart to be an amazing place, where here in America, it's like, yeah, it's Walmart. There's one on every corner.
I guess it is interesting because they're all, kind of local-made stuff there at Walmart, right?
Yeah. Well, I guess a lot of stuff that came from China, so why not sell it there before save you shipping it? You just sell it there in China. Well, anyway, it's very interesting, and so that's something we're going to have to watch in the days ahead. We'll have more on this, and about the economy and some other stuff after we take a break for the news at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. And right now in Nashville, Metro Police looking for a suspect in a deadly shooting. This happening at the WeGo bus station downtown. The victim believed to be 15 years old, according to a police spokesperson on the scene.
It appears that the teenager was shot twice.
Yeah, apparently the shooting was preceded by a fight between teenagers. Police are looking over surveillance video, speaking to a number of witnesses they say are other teenagers and, of course, the WeGo security guard. Right now in Middle Tennessee, Murfreesboro police asking for your help to find a 21-year-old woman reported missing by a friend. Police are concerned for the safety of 21-year-old Olivia Calentis, who may be with an ex-boyfriend. Her friend who reported her missing says Calentis usually texts every day or every other day. In the past, she has stayed with friends or in her vehicle. We have posted her photo and an image of her car, which police released, and the number to call if you can help. Closing money news, Michelle Franzen.
It's been a mixed day of trading with the Dow in the negative on concerns over the Russia-Ukraine war. But the S&P and NASDAQ trading higher thanks to technology stocks like NVIDIA, which rose 4%. The company's earnings report comes out tomorrow. The Dow lost 121 points. The S&P added 23. The NASDAQ grew 196 points. Walmart added 3% after posting better than expected earnings. Super Microcomputer jumped 32% after it filed a plan to keep its stock listed on NASDAQ's exchange. President-elect Trump has picked Howard Lutnick as his choice for Commerce Secretary. Lutnick is the head of a brokerage and investment bank, Cantor Fitzgerald, and co-chair of Trump's transition operation. Sandwich chain Jersey Mike's is being acquired by asset management giant Blackstone so it can expand faster in the U.S.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, checking the eastern split here. We got a crash reported by police 24 westbound at I-40, then 24 eastbound right before 440. And in Madison, still dealing with a crash that's blocking the right two lanes of 65 southbound at Briley Parkway and Ellington Parkway. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You know, you still got some tailgating to do, Yolette. It's still some time for that. If you're a fan of the flavors over at Legend Steakhouse, well, you can enjoy some of those same flavors right at home on your own grill or on your tailgate. That's right. Take a walk down your local grocery store aisles, places like Walmart and Kroger. Look for Johnny Fleeman's very own brand. Their proprietary blend will give your steaks, chicken, and chops a flavor that will hit a home run with family and friends. It's low in sodium, about a third of the other brands, so you don't have to worry about over-marinating. And when we talk about his honey mustard salad dressing, well, you can use it as a salad dressing. Well, that makes sense. Or a dipping sauce for your favorite chicken fingers, or fresh cut veggies, or maybe a dip for chips. It's a recipe used in his restaurant for over 35 years. And if your favorite grocer is not stocking Johnny Fleeman products, ask them to do so. For more information, go to johnnyfleeman.com. That's johnnyfleeman.com. And it goes without saying, for those times when you want someone else to do the cooking, they'll always be glad to see you at your nearest Legend Steakhouse for lunch or for dinner.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
.38 past the hour of 6 o'clock. We're here for about another, 22 minutes or so. Then we're going to hand it over to Mark Levin, the great one. He'll carry on through the rest of the evening, as he often does. I listened to him last night. He was on fire. He didn't have many nice things to say about Joe and Mika.
Oh, I bet that was fun.
Yeah, that was fun. And if you haven't heard the story, I know everybody's probably talked about this, but I wasn't here yesterday. It's one of those things where everybody has said their part, but I haven't, because I wasn't here yesterday. So I get to have my say about Joe and Mika going over the weekend to see Donald Trump down at Mar-a-Lago. These are the people who called him Hitler. These are the people who carried out, all of these wild conspiracy theories about what Donald Trump would do if he were to become a president of the United States again, and worked against him in every way, and just, bought into every wild rumor or conspiracy theory about Donald Trump that you could buy into. But they go hand in hand to go see Donald Trump. They got invited down to Mar-a-Lago, and they went and saw him. Here's a little bit of what they said when they got back, trying to explain to their audience why they were cozying up to the president-elect.
In this meeting, President Trump was cheerful. He was upbeat. He seemed interested in finding common ground with Democrats on some of the most divisive issues. And for those asking why we would go speak to the president-elect during such fraught times, especially between us, I guess I would ask back, why wouldn't we? 5 years of political warfare has deeply divided Washington and the country. We have been as clear as we know how in expressing our deep concerns about President Trump's actions and words in the coarsening of public debate. But for nearly 80 million Americans, election denialism, public trials, and January 6th were not as important as the issues that moved them to send Donald Trump back to the White House with their vote. Joe and I realize it's time to do something different. And that starts with not only talking about Donald Trump, but also talking with him.
As somebody close to Donald Trump told me this past weekend, this is a president who's not seeking re-election, so maybe, just maybe, now could be the time for both parties to get to work.
You see, I'm just doing it to make sure that we can all get along. You know, we're being gracious here and extending the olive branch. You know what happened? Apparently, the people who watched that morning show just lost their minds over this, that they would go down there after saying all the ugly things they've said about Donald Trump and cozy up and make nice and, you know, kissy and all that kind of stuff. Well, you know, I think Megyn Kelly had an interesting comment here.
Go f*** yourselves.
She got straight to the point.
What, Megyn? What did you say? Let's say, could you be any clearer?
Go f*** yourselves. Go f*** yourselves, you dishonest jokes of faux journalists.
So why did they do it? Nikki Haley had the right answer here, I'm pretty sure. I'm Brian Wilson with the... Oh, that's not it. What in the world is that? I have no idea what happened to my Nikki Haley cut. Well, anyway, Nikki Haley had it right. Oh, I know what it is. Hang on a second. I got the wrong one. I got the wrong Nikki cut. Nikki, you're so fine. Here we go.
Mika Brzezinski and Joe Scarborough tore me up when I said anything about voting for Donald Trump or what I agreed with him on, even though I criticized him when I thought he was wrong. I praised him when I thought he was good. They tore me up. But the truth is, it's not that they suddenly saw the light.
No.
It's they saw the ratings.
That's right.
I mean, let's be clear. They saw the ratings tank and they realized, oh, we better get on with Donald Trump or else we're not going to have a show.
Well, in fact, I saw a story here a moment ago that said that the numbers have really tanked for MSNBC. Surprisingly, I mean, you can add up the numbers on MSNBC and you can add up the numbers and you can add to that the numbers at CNN, and they don't come close to being where the Fox numbers are on a nightly basis. The MSNBC audience and the CNN audience are just gone. They're just so dispirited right now. And so I think Nikki Haley had it right. That they were looking at it and saying, you know what, we got to do something and we got to get some of this audience back. So, maybe this is time for, a complete reset. Maybe let's, after saying all these tacky things, let's try to reach out. Because without Donald Trump, without being able to cooperate with the incoming president, you got nothing. And you know what? I think Comcast is trying to sell MSNBC right now. And what they're looking at on the horizon is, well, if they sell, they're going to try to reposition the network to be more mainstream because, quite frankly, we're not making any money as being this tool of the left. And, boy, they got some stupid things going on at MSNBC. I mean, Rachel Maddow makes all this incredible money, millions of dollars. She does one show a week, I think. I mean, I don't understand. I don't understand why they're paying her all that money. I'm telling you, they throw crazy money at some of the people that are on that channel, and they don't bring a rating. They don't earn it back. If you can't earn it back, then you ought to be gone. I remember we used to be a time over in the NBC world where if they would take a look at and see if you're performing up to snuff, and if you weren't, like the top 20%. I mean the lowest 20% in performers, no matter what your job was, you got fired. You had to always be getting better. And, apparently they don't do that anymore over there. Trump has been pressured to end. Let me give you this information because I think there's interesting news in it, but also a little piece of advice. Trump pressured to end the radical EV mandate in his first 100 days or else face a 2035 green energy dystopia. President-elect Donald Trump's being pushed to reverse Joe Biden's radical electric vehicle policies within the first 100 days he's back in the White House. The Alliance for Consumers, a consumer advocacy nonprofit, is urging Trump to take action as soon as possible. They've launched a new campaign called 2035, showing how Biden's energy agenda would derail American lives if left unchanged. According to the Daily Mail, the six-figure video ad campaign shows a dystopian America based in 2035 where citizens' emissions and energy use are closely monitored. The clip could be easily mistaken for a scene of Netflix Black Mirror. It's a film the politicians like Gavin Newsom's and the liberal elites do not want the American public to see. Well, here's what I'm going to say to you. I think Donald Trump will end the EV mandates. And he will also end the, the rebates, the EV kickbacks that you get from the government when you buy an EV. So, I mean, if you are interested in an electric car, you would probably be well served to go do that now, because I have a feeling that little rebate that you get back from the government is going to go away. I think it should go away, but if you are, there are some people an EV makes sense and they want one, and that's fine. It's not for me, but because I got to have a car that I can take a trip on. But it might be for some people who are commuting and just use the car only for commuting to work and back and forth. An EV might work, and who knows? But one way or the other, I think that the mandate is going to go away, and I think the little kickback you get from the government is probably going to go away as well. Hang on. I'm having trouble with my equipment. Here we go. Manhattan DA has opposed Trump's bid to dismiss hush money conviction. This happened today. Manhattan prosecutors on Tuesday said they will oppose President-elect Trump's demand to dismiss the criminal hush money case following his White House victory, court documents show. But Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, in the new letter, said he won't resist adjourning the Trump sentencing next week so the judge can receive further briefing on the issue. The Trump people want him to dismiss, and that's going to take a little time to work up the paperwork on that. But Alvin Bragg sounds as if he wants to keep the case alive. He says leave the door open to non-dismissal options, like halting the sentencing until Trump's departure from the office of the presidency in 2029. The people deeply respect office of the president, are mindful of the demands and obligations of the presidency, acknowledge that defendant's inauguration will raise unprecedented legal questions. We also deeply respect the fundamental role of the jury in our constitutional system. Bragg signed the filing himself, a departure from the office's typical practice. So what they want to do is they want to keep the case alive and then sentence him when he is no longer president of the United States. Silly. I mean, first of all, leave it open, let Trump appeal it. If it goes to an appellate court, this case is full of reversible error. I have no doubt in my mind that the case will be thrown out on its ear on appeal. And that's what, first of all, the president's lawyers want him to dismiss the case outright. But if they can't do that, then they'll allow us to appeal it and, go ahead and get it over with. I don't know what the Judge Merchan is up to. I'm not sure what his plan is, but he's acting sort of strange about this particular one. And then Trump has promised restitution for victims of DEI discrimination. Trump addressing issues that bedevil the American school system, which, according to the president-elect, spends more than any other in the world, but has lackluster results. That may be true. In a video released by his team, Trump said he would use an unspecified budget reconciliation measure to have schools involved in DEI programs fined up to the total amount of their endowment. Trump promised that a portion of the seized funds will then be used as restitution for victims of these illegal and unjust policies that hurt our country so badly. Interesting idea. Colleges have gotten hundreds of thousands of dollars from hardworking taxpayers, and now they're going to get this anti-American insanity out of our institutions once and for all. We're going to have real education in America. Additionally, President Trump promised to pursue federal civil rights cases against schools that continue to engage in racial discrimination and schools that persist in explicit unlawful discrimination under the guise of DEI. Trump also promised to impose taxes on schools that continue with the program that some have seen that, they say some deserving and hardworking students have been disenfranchised by. Trump did not say where the victims of beneficiaries of the unjust DEI practices were or who they were. However, DEI discrimination is based on race, sex, and sexual orientation, where individuals are selected based on these factors instead of qualifications. It looks like DEI is on the wane. Thank the good Lord Almighty. It is now 50 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk. Many of you have lived here a long time. You already know that Eurofix has been in Middle Tennessee. It's been the place to go for your European car repair now for some 24 years, and we've gotten to watch them grow. Well, what about their latest business? Did you know about it? They have one now in Mount Juliet, right on Mount Juliet Road, across from the Dairy Queen. That means that Eurofix can now serve you in Franklin, 100 Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and Mount Juliet. It's pretty cool getting to watch a small-town mechanic who started in a barn in the backyard of his single-wide trailer grow to 5 locations, that's right, 5, repairing thousands of cars each month. At Eurofix, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment. So call this number to set up your appointment, 844-EUROFIX, or just go by and see them. Their website, myEurofix.com.